Tell us about the tattoos.
Shut the fuck up, you little prick.
But then I've got the Phoenix.
Hey, prick.
So I'll take it from Bob every day of the week.
Absolute disgrace.
I'm sure no one will mind.
Move him out of here, Darren.
Ricky Hatton didn't go over for his fighter because he risked getting abducted and sold into sexual
I never said that.
Both have been rape victims. I'm not watching Frank Buglioni live on Saturday night. You're out of your mind.
Jesus Christ, get yourself a life.
He's actually a priest.
Yeah.
It's because his brother John Fury eye gouged him.
What have I told you all this time? He's going to end up sucked out, fucked out, looking for a handout.
Boxing, nutters, messenger group. I'm gonna be the king.
J-Pump. You know what I'm saying?
Well, hello everybody and welcome to the 473rd edition of the Boxing Asylum Nuthouse podcast. I'm your host Steve Wellings, and joining us on the call we have Andy Patterson and Matty Di Gialinardo, going live on YouTube from 8 o'clock every Sunday evening. The Patreon RSS feed updates shortly after the show concludes. Hello to everyone listening through the week on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Don't forget to leave a review on the podcast player of your choice. Throughout the entire month of April, I've got written down here, we're into May, the entire month of May. Nothing less than 5 stars is acceptable. Only one place to start, as I tend to say. This week it is in Las Vegas, the T-Mobile Arena. First things first, fuck those scorecards. I fully expected a monumental robbery to occur whenever they all 15-1-13. That was a barrel-scraping verdict for me. Only the red light district of sports, as Andy calls it, Matty. Only the red light district of sports could contrive to have that fight close. One round away from a draw. It wasn't close in the slightest. Bivol won the rounds, he won the points, he won the punch stats, he won the story of the fight that Max Kellerman talks about. That is absolute bollocks for me. I'm starting on a sour note, Matty. I'm not having it.
You should just be happy that he got the decision at all. I saw this judge's scorecards. Bivol did not get a single one of the first 4 rounds on any of the judges' scorecards, Steve.
It's all saying, isn't it? Starting the fight 4 rounds down.
Yeah, well, and you remember...
Just shows you, can you imagine if that was a much closer fight, what would have happened there?
Oh, yeah, well, remember I said, if you think this is going to be a 116-112 fight, bet the draw. Well, it was a 117-111, 118-112 fight, and or 118-110 fight, and we got 115-113. It was, and I thought for a second Canelo was going to get all 3 of those scorecards when they were announcing them. It, for me, the story of the fight was just the fact that Bivol was able to use his jab when he needed to keep distance, and then find moments to throw 4, 5, 6 punch combinations. And that split the rounds. He was basically doubling Canelo's connects. Neither fighter was tremendously accurate because both are good defensive fighters. Give them their due. But it was, for me, it was incredible to watch the fight. And I hope we're just looking at a bad performance and something that doesn't hurt him down along the way, because we can talk about a lot more moving forward. I mean, we got a lot to say, but Steve, for me, I mean, the first main point I'd like to make is you go from that big entrance with the mariachi band playing the final countdown and then coming into some, Mexican tune, which is cool. I love that music. Great entrance. First few rounds are kind of competitive, and then Canelo can't figure it out. And as the fight wears down, the look on his face just changes, and He went from this exuberant, celebrated figure in Mexican boxing to looking confused, defeated, and being booed by the Mexican fans. What an amazing change of, in the attitude in that arena over the course of 1 hour. Absolutely. I don't know if I've ever seen anything quite like it, Steve.
Matty, on a card that it contained a fighter last night called Montana Love. And the word of the night for me last night, the word of the night was length. Bivol came forward behind a long-rangey jab. He didn't throw it once, didn't throw it twice, threw it 3, 4, 5 times in succession with the right hand behind it. But he also used those big long legs to stride out of range after those combinations landed. This was an excellent strategy because it left Canelo trying to chase after him to land his shots. Canelo was getting frustrated. He was getting worn out. He gave up. He was trying to run after him around the ring time and again. You could see the frustration on him. Bivol used that frame, that range. He used that length to perfection, Matty.
Oh, absolutely. It was he used his attributes to the best of his abilities. He maximized everything that he had going for him, and he made Canelo look absolutely foolish at times. It for me, it was just a case of a fighter learning what their ceiling is, and Canelo found an easy target in Kovalev, so he could pick up that 175-pound strap. But Steve, could you imagine him against Beterbiev? I mean, that would
No,
be
it would
a
never happen.
fucking
Said that last
bloodbath.
week. No, never happened.
No, not after that. And I think Canelo just got a little too big for his own britches, Steve, and Bivol put him in his place.
He certainly did. He certainly did. Shout out to Jared. He's put things in his place here with a tenner super chat. He said Bivol had to win 7 of the last 8 rounds to win that. Incredible BS. But at least the right man won. Big up, lads. Absolutely. Thanks for the tenner, Jared. You're right. The right man did win. Gerard, sorry. Shout out Gerard, Bernard. Good old Gerard there throwing in a tenner. The right man won. But yeah, we can't brush things under the carpet, man. They tried to, I don't know, they tried to job him, basically. As soon as Diamante read out the scorecards, Andy, and said, and still, I was stumbling around trying to work out who's got the win here, forgetting that Canelo's belts are all at super middleweight. I was like, and still what? Of course, the champion was Bivol. Now, my mind travelled back to 2004, Andy. Las Vegas bout, Oscar De La Hoya against Felix Sturm. I know you'll remember it. Oscar was looking ahead to a fight with Bernard Hopkins, too small for middleweight. He gets out-punched, outscored all night by the sharper Sturm. The scores came in. The fix was confirmed back in 2004. 115, 113 across the board, all in favour of Oscar. He was an undeserved winner, moved on to the mega fight. Sturm disappeared back into obscurity. Fast forward to the last night, whenever the scorecards for Bivol Canelo were being read out, 115, 113 across the board, I thought history was about to repeat itself, man.
Well, Steve, seeing as you brought up a historical fight there, guess who was on the judging panel that night?
Go on.
Was
Dave Moretti? No? Moretti,
Dave Moretti.
Yeah.
Like he was on the panel there last night, 115, 113. Look, I give Canelo credit for going up in weight, I suppose. You know, challenging these, taking these challenges, these bigger guys. But last night there was no debate about it. I'm sitting there watching it. I'm saying, so how you know? Cause I got up in the morning, as you know, I check the scorecards, I check the results, and I get up, sort the kids out, and then get down and watch a fight. I'm sitting watching it. I'm saying, so there's no way Canelo's doing anything here. I mean, see, after like 4 rounds, he was that mentally frustrated. He voluntarily went to the ropes to get Bivol to come to him, hopefully try and open up so he could counter him with maybe an uppercut or a left hook to the body. That just never materialised because Bivol gave him absolutely shit all to really aim at. Look at Bivol's guard there last night. The probably best shot Canelo could have thrown at him would have been the jab to the body, but he was risking potentially deflecting off the elbows, maybe landing low or hitting the belt line. His body work wasn't really working. He was relying to punch on Bivol's arms to try and get him to kind of basically drop his arm, maybe injure him there, maybe just try and open up a wee bit. Just maybe a bit of mental quit. I mean, a wee bit like the Floyd fight. I did notice as well around about round 7, especially about round 8. I thought Canelo was dragging in the air, like he was really feeling it. He started round 9 kind of quick, pressuring a wee bit, but it kind of like petered out. There was just he couldn't really press, to be honest with you, because he was getting picked off. If he did get a wee bit of momentum, which wasn't often, But if he did get like shots off, Bivol was coming back at him with 4 and 5 punch combos, and he was really. I go back to Alexis Arguello. I mean, Bivol is like, that's what he does. It's just the fact that it was Canelo he was fighting there last night, and they made it look so fucking simple. You say he mentioned the footwork; he was light on his feet. If you go back to Arguello, I mean, he was an absolute expert jab, right hand, left hook, and that's if you master the basics, you will go far, and that's what Bivol really had to do there last night was jab, right hand. And obviously, as the fight went down the stretch, and Canelo was kind of grappling a wee bit, getting tossed up in the air, getting dragged to the ground. I just thought that Bivol really, in the end, put his bigger size on. I thought on Canelo, made him feel that he was a smaller man. And I know Canelo's saying he's wanting the rematch.
Fucking what?
Based
reason?
off, I know, but based off those scorecards, if I'm Bivol, I know he's maybe contracted to take it possibly, but if I'm Bivol, I'm saying to myself, I've got to knock him out next time, because you kind of feel that Bivol could go up through a few more gears and sustain a wee bit kind of like maybe more offensive output, maybe kind of get the opponent out of there. But that's just not his style. But I kind of get the feeling if there is a rematch, consider how those judges had those first 4. You cannot have the first 4 rounds 4-0 Canelo. There's nobody in their right mind who watched that could say it, because at best it was 3-1 Bivol, right? At best. But to then say, because as I say, if Bivol hadn't have actually looked as not so much dominant, but look an absolute clear winner there last night, by the way, let's not get it wrong. But if any of those rounds were close, Canelo was going to get the share of every single one of them. They tried to give it to him. They fucking tried. And you see, so does he really want to go and get a rematch and just to get hosed? Because they tried to do it, and this time it's just wrong again. These fucking scorecards, but
it's loaded, Andy. It's loaded, isn't it? Sorry to cut across you, but the whole
Yeah.
thing is just loaded in Canelo's favour completely. Like, if you have to go out and absolutely dominate rounds to win them, the loaded default of each round is that it will go to Canelo. No matter what he's doing, he's coming forward, he's throwing these big shots, these impressive uppercuts, which were landing, these corkscrew shots to arms and gloves. If you don't do anything to outland him and outpunch him, then he is automatically defaulted to win the round.
Yeah, exactly, mate. I mean, you take the 4 main points of scoring rounds. Tell me where Canelo was successful in any of those 4. Potentially, maybe aggressiveness. Was it effective? You could maybe argue about him, making the arm punches, basically trying to kind of soften them up, round a bit there. You could maybe argue that's effective aggression. Maybe trying to a wee bit of kind of ring generalship. He's not getting counted as a kind of scoring blow as such, but he's deterring his opponent from responding back with a shot possibly. And Bivol was saying, look, my arm's basically sore as anything after that. He was obviously kind of complaining about it. But you do not score rounds on punching the guy in the bloody shoulder or on the arms. That's a defensive thing. That's a block. That is no how I believe it's in the rules that is not a scoring shot. So I don't know how they could give Canelo any of those fucking early first half of those rounds. It's just disgraceful.
People said he beat my arm up, not my head, and they asked him, did he ever hurt you? He said, yeah, my arm.
Better the arm than not the face. I thought Bivol was class in the post fight. He showed a bit of character, didn't he? A bit of personality.
He did that. It's even this, in the presser as well. He was talking about Eddie Hearn. He says Eddie came up to congratulate me, but you could actually tell that he wasn't really all that happy. Even Ed.
Whatever God is the one true God, it really has it out for Eddie Hearn. I'll tell you that much. Lately, he's been just
I'm happy to
him.
worship at that altar.
Yeah, maybe his all about the patriarchy, and he's pissed off about Eddie pushing women to the forefront. I don't know.
Andy, though, you mentioned him going up and down the weights and stuff there. I think Canelo's roid-induced power and his roid-induced stamina, it's got him so far. But this time he faced a fresh, hungry, strong, well-schooled guy, bigger than him. I think he was disciplined, he had guile, he had skill. He refused to back down, Bivol, refused to be bullied. He stood right in front of him. He knew when to back off. He knew when to push it on him. And Bivol alluded to himself afterwards about Canelo opting for the flashy power punches, and he just gassed himself out, Andy.
Yeah, as it says, mate, I think he gassed, or he was certainly dragging in the air around about the 7th, 8th and 9th. He was taking time to sit down in between rounds, I noticed. Maybe he was trying to kind of like get the more air in his lungs before he had to sit down. Voluntarily retreating to the ropes. probably mentally frustrated. He had major issues with Bivol's jab right hand. That says if you can keep your opponent off you with those 2 punches, and you don't need to overcommit yourself unless you really need to. Because we mentioned it last week, we did feel that Bivol would need to respond, and they did that. Anytime we felt Canelo was maybe like loading down on his shots, or he was maybe kind of squaring up, or maybe going to get no throw shots as such. Bivol was then coming back at him rapidly. He was just like, he was more accurate, he was more busy, more aggressive, I felt as well. And you could see that he was landing, more consistently, I felt as well. As I say, I go back to Canelo, look, he was dragging it a wee bit, but I just thought Bivol maintained the pressure, and Bivol just possibly, I would probably say overwhelmed him at points actually with his output, because Canelo just couldn't respond. It says that he was having to kind of go to the ropes. If you actually watch Bivol, if I'm right in saying that, actually, Bivol, every time he felt himself touch the ropes, he was spinning off, he was away. He was never allowing himself to get caught in the ropes, I don't think. But you can see, as I says, Canelo, retreating, trying to get an opening somewhere. But even some of the shots he was landing, they weren't even budging, or even, I don't think they're even bothering Bivol. As I say, okay, he said his arm is sore, but other than that, I don't think he was flustered one iota.
Yeah, he was loading up with every shot, Canelo. Strange strategy. I suppose he's used to being in the fights with people and then putting the foot down late on against guys and getting them out. But at this time, he was starting to get frustrated and realising, I'm not going to be able to turn this round with one big punch. I can't even land them. That big uppercut was landing, but it wasn't moving him. The showcase corkscrew hooks to the body, to the arms. Is that a legitimate punch? Is it not? Many of Canelo's shots were landing on the arms and the gloves, but Bivol was just responding in kind, as Andy says. Every time, throwing straight back each time, he was just responding and answering his shots and saying, right, you're not overwhelming me, you're not dominating me, I'm here. Matty Dirkbank says, Canelo knew losing to Bivol would give him a built-in excuse about size rather than risk losing to Benavidez and Charlo. What do you think about that comment?
I don't know about that. I think that he might have. I think he was having second guesses about his moves up the scales, because remember they were talking to him about fighting Makabu, and that just got thrown in the toilet, even though Makabu looked like garbage.
Matty, sorry, I really don't think that was ever a genuine thing. It was Reynoso rather than Canelo. You noticed mentioned that. I think that was just bullshit, the same as the Usyk thing. I don't think that was ever a realistic proposition.
Yeah, you might be right. It seemed like they were really dangling that carrot, though, right?
It was Machino that wanted. Did he not actually demand the WBC give him that? He was mandatory challenger. That's the reason why that fight fell like shit.
Oh, quite possibly.
Yeah, but it was but he was supposed to be the dad. They were talking. Remember that was
there
the
was
discussion.
Talks,
that was the discussion, and I think he was filling it out. And since everybody had said, "Oh yeah, Bivol can make 168 pounds. He's not a big light heavyweight." He chose to bite down on that. And it's we all have size ceilings, there's a reason that there's weight classes, obviously, to a degree, and Canelo learned that. And I think that's as far as it goes on that. It just is what it is, and it's not a bad loss. I mean, sometimes you got to try for greatness, right? Like if fights were only 12 rounds during the 50s, Sugar Ray Robinson would have been light heavyweight champion, but he got knocked out in the 13th round. And what they say the ring heat was there in New York, like they thought it was like 115, 120 degrees in the ring, Andy.
Yeah, something like even the referee collapsed. I think he had to get replaced.
Was that the Lamotta one you're talking about? Or
no,
Joey Maxim, light heavyweight.
Oh, Maxim.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I hope that Canelo doesn't lose his spirit, and he continues, because what he's accomplished is amazing. Since he lost to Floyd Mayweather, he's beat 5 undefeated fighters in 4 different weight classes, and he's 15-0 and 15-0-1 during that stretch with 9 knockouts, and taking out Golovkin's record from the first fight, because I don't want to double him up. During that stretch of time, Canelo's record of his opponents is 450, 22-6, Steve. I think what Canelo has done is incredible. He's still a top 10 pound for pound fighter. He just went one step too far. And for me, I think that's great. It's a shame the way he finished, because he looked confused and he was on the back foot and the people were booing him. That's sad, and I'm afraid that could hurt him mentally. But I'll tell you what, Should he get through his fight with Joe Smith Jr. in June, who is a puncher, you never know, bit of a wild card. We got to see better Biev against Bivol now, don't we, Steve? I mean, isn't that the fight?
I'd rather see that than the rematch with Canelo. Yeah.
Fucking Jesus, what a dumb fight that rematch would be.
I was just thinking, actually, can you imagine if that was Beterbiev facing that, whatever Canelo there was fighting there last night? What do you think would have happened there?
Knocked out around the 10th round.
He would have stopped him.
Yeah, I think so. Fuck it. I mean, he's having major problems with the jab with Bivol. Can you imagine, can take a jab off the likes of Beterbiev and having to deal with his pressure?
Yeah, Bivol's jab was class. Des says there, Bivol was very disciplined and showed excellent fundamentals. He didn't let Canelo bully him. He outpunched, outlanded, and held centre ring. Huge respect to their team. A brilliant performance. We discussed this as well. Sorry, Des, let me just get you out the road there. Barry L, Hands of Stone, asked the panel if punches in the arms are scoring. Clear ploy by Canelo for benefits down the stretch, which is all fine. Worked well against Callum Smith. He tried against Bivol. Bivol said afterwards he expected that. We all expected that too. He did it against Caleb Plant as well. Seen a few people on here suggest it won in rounds. 117, 112 Bivol for me. So do deliberate shots on the arm count? Not at all, Andy, no?
No, as I understand it, mate, no, they don't. I think... I'm paraphrasing, but I think the rule is that it's got to be a clean blow to either the front or the side. I think they call it the torso, the head, with the closed part of the glove. I think that's what...
Punches to the arm are a tool, not a scoring shot.
That's what I said. So you're basically inhibiting you're trying to inhibit your opponent for basically responding with. So if you're hitting Bivol on the left arm, you're basically trying to kind of stop him from jabbing you, basically, and by way of a counter, basically, So.
Marciano was the king of that. That's why he had all those late stoppages. Eventually, he just beat his opponent's arms up so bad that they could barely lift him, and they sure as hell couldn't defend their face, and then he'd take him out,
Joe Frazier done it to Ali, actually. He used to kind of hit him around about the hips to try and, get him to kind of like swell up around a bit there and slow him down. Because he says a man don't live by his head, If you slow down those organs, etc., and that, then the man can only move so quick.
Exactly. It's a legitimate shot to bring people's arms down, but it's a strategy that pays off later in the fight. You don't win points and you don't win on points and score rounds from hitting people on the arms. Your shots were all landing on arms and gloves is a saying for a reason in boxing, Andy.
Yeah. So I'm saying, I mean, everything, basically, you go back to Canelo, just those shots that was thrown, everything, as I said, most of it was all arms, it was gloves. It was just, Bivol's defence was so tight, so cute. And as I say, whenever he responded to Canelo, he had no answers to it, really. Absolutely no answers. I mean, when he responded, Bivol wasn't there, or he'd reset himself, covered him up pretty well. As I say, I think his best opening really was probably the pit of the stomach, but he was running a risk that he could maybe throw it low. Because if he just deflected off Bivol's elbows, for example, you didn't want to be hitting the elbows, because that's freaking break hands and that as well, but you deflect shots that could maybe hit him around about the belt line, low blows, point deductions, that type of thing. Could run the risk of that.
Did you guys think it was foolish for Canelo to come in so close to the light heavyweight limit instead of coming in more like 170 and trying to be lighter and having a speed advantage? Like, I thought that was a little bit weird.
Would that not be his walk around weight, though? I mean, he'll not be having to cut weight or dehydrate himself to make 175.
I think he believes so much in his strategy, wearing people down, so much in his power. I think it was all based around that. Look, whenever he takes my power, which might be artificial, might not. I go on the artificial side.
Just remember that I seen some. Remember seeing the sparring footage that he put out between him and Canelo and Gvozdyk, the Ukrainian, which was quite weird because Gvozdyk's been retired for the best part of 2 years since Beterbiev beat the shit out of him. But when I watched Canelo actually training with him, Canelo was going to the ropes all the time with him. So maybe it was part of the strategy. I don't know, but. Maybe he was working on a few things, bigger guy, I don't know, but it was certainly an off night anyway.
Yeah, he thought Bivol was going to be the straight up and down Eastern European stiff style. Maybe that's what he got Gvozdyk in for. He thought he was going to be able to counter him with hard, fast shots, but I don't know. He didn't reckon on a few things. Matty, you brought that up on the screen. I was going to bring that up for you. Actually, Canelo tries a vegan diet program to face Dimitri Bivol. How did that work for him, you think?
I think that was a terrible idea. This could be the worst diet plan in boxing since Oscar was eating ostrich meat before Pacquiao. I think when you got the Mexican beef, Steve, why are you going to abandon the Mexican beef? It's tried and true. It's proven. Full of vitamins and combuterol. It's
needed a bit of good red meat in him. I think was the problem last night.
I think that is the problem. I want to
He's even got exemptions for fucking Vlada as well.
It's nuts. I think we need to get him on a more carnivorous diet if he's going to go in for a rematch, because if he's eating fucking chickpeas and bananas, I think he's fucked.
Well, I tell you what, it'll be interesting to see how he does change it up a wee bit, because I don't. You say, Steve. I mean, he would probably need to go away and work on a few things, but you know, he's obviously. We've all said that he's adapted since the Floyd loss. We've seen the improvements in his style, but he's got to go away now and figure something else out. And is it packing on more weight? I don't know what it is, but he's going to have to. He's taking that rematch on. I just can't see anything bar similar to what happened to there last night.
Yeah, Kel Cheds has alluded to my next talking point, Andy. We'll go to you. Matty's gone through Canelo's wins and that, and I know we're going to do a bit of historical revisionism, might sound like haters and that, but we have to have this discussion. He says Canelo needs to be back on the juicy tacos. That is one element of it, but we look at his recent opponents, and he's always struggled with stick and move types. He's struggled with guys with good jabs. Floyd stuck him on his head. He still got a 114. Lara gave him trouble. Some people thought he won that. I thought he beat Trout handy enough, but he had trouble at times. Now Bivol's beating him. In a parallel universe, Golovkin could have got the win. And again, another dodgy scorecard in his favour in Adelaide Birds thing. But anyway, what I was saying was Golovkin could have got those 2 wins. There's guys who aren't going to stand in front of him, are always going to give him trouble. Saunders had the potential style to execute this, but he's too soft, too out of shape to sustain it. There are these guys that are going to give Canelo trouble, Andy, and he just bit off more than he can chew. He looked a little bit one-dimensional, relying on his power, wasn't able to match a guy with swift footwork, and he's had that trouble throughout his career. Have these people he's been put in front of, unbeaten as they may be, your Callum Smiths, your Saunders, your Danny Jacobs, all these kind of guys, narrow wins over Golovkin, have they flattered to deceive a little bit? Kovalev, a drunk who he knocked out in the 11th round. I'm going to sound like a hater saying these things. The Golovkin rematch, he could have lost that. He was on drugs. We know he was. He got popped for it. Is this a smoke and mirrors run he's gone on?
Certainly, I mean, look, if you could take up anybody's record, mate, and kick it to bits, shred it
Absolutely.
up. I mean, you could do it with Floyd. People do it with Joe Calzaghe for good reason. You know, people big up Carol Froch's record, but you could always pick something out of Carol Froch's record that, you know, for example, I remember, I'll take Paddy Cronin, for example. You know, he did the big up Froch Groves because he was saying there was nothing more than a domestic fight, and they got lucky really with the with how the first fight went and how the second fight ended. But yeah, look, if you go, for example, I think Canelo's possibly okay. He's definitely had favours with the judges, obviously. I mean, the Floyd Mayweather scorecard, the 140. The guy got absolutely schooled. And CG Ross, who I think it was her last fight she ever judged, I think she was basically chased out the fucking door. 114, absolute disgrace. The Lara fight was obviously close, as you said, stick and move. He got, I think I'm sure he got something like a 117, 111 type scorecard for the Lara fight. Another nonsense. You know, the Golovkin card, I think there was one in there. There was was it Adelaide Bird? Was it Bird? It was
yeah, 118, 110.
118. I was ready to say 119, but 118, 110. Fucking outrageous. And then you've got Kovalev. You know, you mentioned, for example, his issues with alcohol, but he's also had he was coming off that fight against Anthony Yarde. I think he had like 8 weeks afterwards. He's a big guy for light heavyweight, so you know, again for him, he's got to shred all that off again. Maybe got him at the right time. Yildirim, that was circumstances, I believe, in the Benavidez was meant to, or Yildirim was, I'm sure it was the mandatory for Benavidez.
It was Durrell. There was a technical decision. It was all sorts of fucked up. It was dumb. But it was a mandatory.
Yeah, and it was mandatory. It got stripped to the belt, didn't they?
It was
Benavidez did. And that's Yildirim and fucking...
Yeah, because he tested for coke. I think that's when he tested positive for cocaine or something like that, yeah.
So, and I just think at the end of the day as well, he's also, it's the way he's also met a light heavyweight in his prime, peak his powers, you know, supposedly. Again, look how easy Bivol made it look there last night. Yet you could go to Bivol's record and say, well, who the fuck's he beat? You know, who's he fought? Type of thing. You could tear down any fighter's resume, but based off the favours that he gets, I really don't know. I mean, you could also ask the question: would that have happened? would Canelo got the decision on a golden boy card, for example? Who knows? But he has had massive favours. Oscar had favours. Floyd has had a favour as well in the past. Now it happens, but it's happening a wee bit too much with some of his scorecards at least. The Golovkin one's obviously the obvious one. The Kovalev circumstance,
the Golovkin scorecard, Andy, mixed in with the popping for the juicing, that left a bad taste in my mouth, that little stretch of a year. And of course, we know he'd messed Golovkin around for 18 months as it was, but that just left a bad taste in my mouth then. And don't get me wrong, whenever you see him knocking at the likes of Kirkland and Saunders and even Plant, the accuracy, the power, watching a Canelo fight's class, it's phenomenal. But as soon as they stick someone in him who can move and stand up to him and as the antidote to what he's bringing to the table, he looked a bit lost. And that's not to diminish him as a fighter. That happens to the best fighters in the world. But he had no answers. No matter what, I don't care what the scorecards say. He had no answers after round 4, which is absolutely fine. He was up against another could prove to be an elite fighter. But standing in front of Callum Smith and standing in front of Yildirim and standing in front of Kirkland and all these guys is one thing. But when the chips are down and you're in against a guy who's boxing you and leaving you on your head like that, you've got to come up with the answers. And that's the time when you show what kind of a fighter you are. So that I'm just, that's my...
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine, because I was just going, as you mentioned Callum Smith there, it actually just occurred to me, I'd heard it in good authority that Smith really was in camp purely to make weight for that fight. I'm sure he had something like 9-10 weeks, maybe not even that, I believe. So you can maybe put that down to, and look, we all knew he was dragging it to get down to 160, dragging it. So obviously having the short camp wouldn't have helped him. And Canelo just kind of basically had his way with him. Basically, the Saunders fight, listen, Saunders was giving him a bit, for some rounds. Yeah, definitely was getting problems, and obviously then the eye socket went, and that's all she wrote. Khalid Plant, he was I suppose he done his best, but again found his soft spot, But if you get a guy who is so, I'm not going to say great, but absolutely pinpoint with his basics, you're going to give him problem. Floyd is obviously one of the greatest pure boxers. And look what he did to Canelo. Now, I'm not saying Bivol is as pure as what fucking Floyd was, but on the 1-2 alone, Canelo had no answers. You could give him any plan you wanted. He couldn't seem to kind of adapt. Or he tried to adapt, but he just couldn't get anything to work. I just don't see what he can do differently, other than knock him out and get a few rounds that are going to be absolutely eeksy peeksy, that he gets the absolute benefit of doubt in every single of those rounds. That is the only way he can beat Bivol, I think. And didn't even mention Beterbiev. I mean, I think what we saw last night in terms of size alone, fucking Beterbiev would fucking punch. As Tyson Fury would say, you need 10 plumbers to fucking deal with Canelo.
I always thought, Andy, that Benavidez' style. I'm not just saying this after the fact now. I'm not saying Benavidez is brilliant, but I always thought that those long arms, that those raking shots to the body, the fact he likes a fight, he's got a good jab. I always thought Benavidez would give him trouble, and that hasn't changed my mind last night. You see, if Canelo had gone out last night and knocked out Bivol in the 11th round, I'd have said, fucking hell yeah, man, that is a proper champion, that is. But sorry, Matty, you jump in there on the Benavidez thing.
I agree with you, Matty. I would disagree with you a wee bit there, Steve, because I think Benavidez, because he drags himself to 168 as well, I think he's a wee bit slower with his punches. I think Canelo would probably beat him to the punch, possibly. But you're right, if he does get those hooks winging in there, then yeah, he could cause Canelo problems.
No, that's fine.
That's fine. It's purely stylistic for me. It's he does have those long arms. He has a size advantage. He can do some of the things that Bivol does, but he doesn't have the discipline that Bivol has when his opponent's against the ropes. He has the tendency to crowd and such, and I think that he'll end up right in Canelo's wheelhouse at some point in time, maybe giving him trouble along the way. But I think that Benavidez is 10 times easier fight than Bivol.
Yeah, no, I thought that Canelo would beat him, especially his body shots was take his toll. And be it Benavidez, Matty isn't as defensively responsible. But I always thought early on in the fight that Benavidez' style would give him problems, which turns out Bivol gave him a lot of problems last night. But I always thought, even before last night, that his style would give him issues, but not necessarily beat him.
I think it's a fun fight, though. I think as far as a style mesh, like you said, like early, just kind of being longer and stuff like that give him some trouble. I think it would have a really incredible conclusion. I think it's a great fight on paper, regardless of of how competitive it ultimately is, because I think the styles mesh really well on that one. It would be pure entertainment. Unfortunately, that's he's all on DAZN at this point in time, and doesn't this take the shine off the Golovkin rematch in a way too? Like, isn't it just a little less
surely they're not going to
interesting?
make that now, are they? That'll not happen now, I wouldn't have thought. Would it?
Isn't Golovkin like guaranteed it though, and wasn't it part of the 3-fight plan? Like, it's almost like they have to serve it up to take care of contracts.
Bivol go off and fight Beterbiev and let Canelo and Golovkin fight each other.
Yeah, that would be perfect.
I genuinely do not want to see that third fight. Genuinely didn't want to see it. After how Golovkin looked, we've said it before, he's just not Triple G anymore. And there's somebody say a good point made in the chat there. How far has Canelo's drug usage, shall we say, got him to this point? And now he's meant to be under VADA testing, possibly.
Huge power increase, Andy. Huge power. He's knocking out massive men.
I remember how jacked he looked in the first Golovkin, or the build-up to the first Golovkin fight compared to the rematch. He was fucking huge, and I mean, like, I'm talking Joe Rogan levels when we talk about saying jacked, fucking jacked. His neck and his shoulders just seem to kind of like roll into kind of one, a bit like Tyson back in the day. It was just fucking ridiculous, man. The big fucking beefy, like the beefy gut as such, but that kind of like water tainted gut, and you've got the kind of the undercore six pack. So you got to ask yourself that question. It's again, you're going back to sound like we're hating on the guy and that, but you got to ask the question. As I said before, because of the amount of money and sums of money involved in this sport, especially at this end of the level, and that you've got to be a fucking idiot not to be doing something to try either enhance or to recover. So it's either one or the other.
Huge power, phenomenal skill set against guys who couldn't get out of the way. Des is the voice of sanity again. He says Canelo looked up the weights and picked a kid he thought he could beat. They just got it wrong. They never expected Bivol to be that tough and that consistent. It was a bad pick. It was absolutely. Also, shout out to the Boxing Inquirer. I think that's Ben Scott. Shout out, Ben. Glad to see you still listening. He said Bivol's high-level defense footwork, IQ, speed, people sleeping on him because he does just enough in past fights. My prediction was done last week. No, I said last week I expected Bivol to give him a lot of problems. I didn't think he would just do enough. I didn't think he'd go out and get knocked out by Canelo, but I thought he would do enough to keep it close and competitive. But the judges would give him absolutely no favours. That said, I did pick Canelo to win, and I thought he was going to win whenever the judges were calling out the scores there. Let's move on.
Yeah, but we also were thinking, I mean, because nobody got points for anything, but we all thought that other than Andy, we all thought that it was going to be a split decision, probably because Bivol deserved it, but Canelo would get it. Yeah, Canelo, because you went with the
That's
UD
right.
option.
Yeah, we did say that.
The judges were getting towards incompetent or corrupt levels, but they didn't quite make it there, so we were just off slightly on how bad the sport can be at times.
That Tim Cheatham, was he not involved with something else recently? I mean, like this year or maybe last year, it was something kind of high profile, again, another dodgy shitty scorecard that he maybe put in. I'm going to see if I can pull it up, see if I can find it. Give me a minute.
He's got a lot of experience. I mean, God, you go through that, you're going to find a lot of bad scores.
They were always going to put in a bad one, aren't they, if they've been going for so long, I think. Alex Bellotti says, rather Golovkin Eubank. What do you think, Stephen? Yeah, I suppose so. But he had his chance, didn't he? I don't want to see Eubank get that fight. No, he had his chance. Michael Thompson, Triple G should retire now, 2 times unified champ at the age of 40. I agree with that, but he want that payday, and I don't begrudge him that payday against Canelo, if indeed it happens, which it might not do now. Alex Bellotti also says Canelo punch resistance and punch power is due to PEDs. Last night was a win for boxing. Canelo is one of the biggest drug cheats in boxing history. Could be right there. Chris Butler also says, yeah, I think Triple G should retire. While Andy's searching through the archives there, Matty, if you can't log into DAZN, there'll be no fights for you. That was the case for me, trying to log in there furiously this afternoon at 6:30 to watch the undercard action as best as I could. Montana Love, Gilles Zhang. Couldn't get bloody logged into the thing, Matty. Did I miss anything?
It's geo-blocked as well, so if you're actually a subscriber, you actually get fucked if you're going abroad. You can't use your account abroad.
Well, it's because it was a pay-per-view, Steve.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and they had
Not in
three
the UK,
different.
wasn't it?
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck was going on there. I don't live there,
So
I
hang
had
on, but if you're a subscriber though, you can just get it as part of your subscription, can't you?
no. It cost me $60.
Are you a DAZN subscriber though? I
I
thought the
am.
pay-per-view was the one-off price for people who weren't subscribers.
This was the
No,
pay-per-view in
nope.
the UK though. It was DAZN only.
Nope, it costs money. Nope, it
America.
costs money.
Hang on then. So let me get this straight. So you're a subscriber to DAZN and you pay every month, Matty, right?
I do.
And you had to pay a separate pay-per-view price for that fight last night?
Yes.
Right,
Yeah.
but I logged in and watched the main event, no problem on the login. But it was the undercard I couldn't get into. It wouldn't let me in this
It
afternoon.
must allow you for the UK, but yeah, it was all pay-per-view over here.
Right. Anyway, tell us about the undercard then, dude.
You just you sound very dejected. Yeah, you didn't have to pay the $60. Van and I. How do you think I feel? It was a good undercard. I think the standout of the undercard, if you're going to pick a fighter, would probably be Shakram Giasov. He dropped Christian Gomez 3 times en route to a wide victory, 99-88, and 2 times in 98-89 once. He fights with his left hand really low, but he's got good movement, really good jab. He dropped, but he also got dropped himself in that fight. It was pretty darn entertaining. No, actually, did he get? No, he didn't get dropped in that one. Sorry, singing Montana Love. He dropped Gomez with a good left hook in the third. A good left hook in the fourth, and then he put him down with an uppercut in the fourth, and then he put him down again with an uppercut in the 10th. He's got a good variety of punches, good jab. He varies it up. I was kind of thinking, in a way, he fight. You know that prospect Michelle Rivera, Steve, but I can't quite get behind him because
Him who looks like Ali.
Yeah, because his jab is just so one-dimensional, right? And I don't get that with Giasov. He uses his jab in a lot of different ways. He varies his speed, and he's got a variety of other good punches. He can be hit though, because he does keep that left hand so incredibly low. But Gomez is a real puncher, man. He was I think 20 out of his 22 victories. I think he's got like 20 knockouts. And Giasov just pretty much walked through him other than taking a few hard shots. Then Montana Love was in a really close fight. I had a 115-111 for Love. The judges, again, all in unison on the scorecards at 114-112, all for Montana Love, breaking his 3-fight knockout streak. He dropped his opponent in the first hand with a right hook to the top of the head, only to be dropped by a left hook to the top of his head in the second. And it looked like it could be a good fight from there, but it just kind of ended up a little bit of a chess match. And you kind of had to just pick who you thought got a little bit of the better work in. And there wasn't a lot to choose from. I kind of thought that it was close, but I thought Love won clearly. But I definitely take some of the shine off of him. Eddie was talking about putting him in with Regis Prograis. And I think Prograis would beat the shit out of him, to be honest with you. And then Zalil Zhang got a knockout in 1 round, smoking left hand. What's his name? Who the hell had to pull out of that fight that was supposed to fight him? There you go. Yeah, Hrgovic pulled out last minute. That was kind of an interesting fight, and he knocked out the replacement opponent 1 round. God, I'm struggling to remember the guy's name. I didn't take that in my notes.
Scott Alexander.
Thank you. He'd never been stopped before, so I guess that's a feather in his cap, but coming in short notice. And Zhang and Hrgovic are still supposed to fight again. All in all, Steve, a pretty disappointing undercard. Considering the fact that this is the one time DAZN actually asked me to pay for an event over here. So if they're going to want something for Mexican Independence Day, whatever show they're putting on there, they're going to have to do better than this.
Yeah, Matthew D'Souza says, Steve, how did you miss this? DAZN introduced pay-per-view on top of subscription fee. It was done to secure Canelo to fight 3 fights this year, only for US subs. No, I did know they're introducing pay-per-view and blah, blah, blah. I just wasn't sure of the ins and outs of it, the particulars and all that. So I understand it a lot better now, but it'll not affect me anyway. I'll not be paying for the pay-per-views. But Hrgovic Zhang, I suppose, Matty, that's something that's going to happen now. First round knockout. Zhang afterwards said, Hrgovic, you next. So he obviously wants the fight. So it's a shame that one fell through. It fell through on the prediction league as well, Matty.
Yep. So no point movement because we were all going with Canelo, and we just choose to split it up by split and unanimous. Nothing happened there. That fight fell through. Apparently, Herkovich's dad died in early April, and it interfered with his training. So they're talking about putting that one on maybe July. I think they might have said. So we'll see how that goes down, because that is kind of an interesting heavyweight fight, because it at least eliminates one of the contenders, and we get ourselves somebody that should be in with one of the belt holders, or maybe for a vacant belt, depending on what happens sometime next year.
Andy, you're back with us. Did you manage to catch anything off the undercard, or shall we swiftly move on?
I just caught the highlights package on YouTube, mate. So really, I seen the Zhang knockout. I think it was a straight left hand. I might go and watch that Gayazov fight in full, actually, because I think there was quite a few knockdowns. I don't know if it was an interesting fight or not, but it seemed to be quite decent off the highlights at least. Just wrapping it up, mate. But just on the Uzbeks, is it just me, or is it if they kind of went quiet over the last year and a bit?
Yeah, I think so. People seem to have lost interest in them, don't they? I know Eddie dropped one of them, and then Giasov's coming back, and then there was a loss for, I don't think it was Madjo or Kanat Islam.
Beck the Bully got knocked
Beck the Bully lost Islam. I'm not saying they're all Uzbeks, but that kind of Eastern European wave. You're right, Andy. It does seem to have lost a bit of momentum.
Because remember we were saying that they were arriving in droves, and Jalilov, he turned pro, went back to the amateurs. There's a few of them doing in the kind of lower weight classes, OX medalists in the Olympics, World Championships. Yeah, it's went kind of quiet. I was expecting them to kind of really break out over this year, especially like the latter half of last year, but it's just never happened.
Good stuff then. Anything from the weekend that I might have missed, Andy? Didn't catch any obscure German cards or anything, no?
Absolutely not, mate. I have been on a roller coaster of emotions and alcohol for fucking 4 days, mate. Just essentially coming down off it the now, so it's all
That's
good.
what happens when you get left with the kids.
Oh, mate, brutal. It's even worse when you go to try and celebrate your team qualifying for a major final, Oh, brilliant, man, brilliant. In their own time, though, mate, in their own time.
In your own time, Admiral Kelly will no doubt be on to congratulate and commiserate in equal measure later on if he jumps on to episode 473. Matty's still here, Andy's here with me, Steve. Yeah, no Aussie at the moment. He's busy doing other things, but hopefully he will turn up at some point. Donny's maybe coming down after last week's escapades. I think he described Bivol as a bit of a cherry pick. No surprise not to see Donny on this weekend.
What an a-hole.
I know, yeah. I tell you what, he was suffering last week, wasn't he, Matty, on the old camera?
I thought
yeah.
It looked like Donny was actually had the exhaust pipe kind of like tuned into a rubber hose through the window. I think the way he was sounding and looking, to be honest with you.
Has anyone heard from him since?
No, he's been kind of MIA since then.
He sent me a text with the link showing Amber Heard and what looked like her snorting cocaine on the stand at the trial. Johnny, yeah, that was pretty class. That's what made me think of nasal snuff this week, Andy.
Is that what that was?
I don't know why it came to mind. I was like, man, I haven't done nasal snuff in years. That stuff was fun.
No, that stuff's minging, mate.
Snuff? Isn't that the shit they used to have back in the old days, like in 1800s?
Snus is
it's still popular in Germany, and I think it's still popular in Scandinavia. Isn't it, Andy?
The thing is, it looks like a mini tea bag. You stick it up your fucking underneath your lip. And it gives you obviously your kind of tobacco or your nicotine fix, but you end up looking like fucking Marlon Brando in The Godfather with these fucking things like these pouches in your mouth fucking sticking out.
I'm not talking about the pouches. I'm talking about the stuff you sniff up your nose.
All right, just cocaine, mate. You're talking about, no?
No, I'm talking about there's tobacco you take right up your nose. It gives you a heck of a rush.
Sounds hardcore, mate. I've never done that.
Yeah, I've given it to cokeheads and they can't handle it. It's pretty funny.
Well, talking of hardcore rushes, Matty, you're going to be pleased to see where we go from here. I'm going on to a Gilberto Ramirez fight. Talk about a come down on every level. Fighting next week on DAZN against Dominic Borcel. Oh dear me. Renny Alvarado's on the undercard. I know he won a title, didn't he, a few years ago off Andrew Cancio. He's going in against this William Zepeda, who's a half-decent fighter. John Ramirez on the undercard as well. Gilberto Ramirez is its career, Matty, it's just sort of staggering on, isn't it? Like a corpse. I'm looking at Borcel here, trying to remember who he's fought. Got knocked out 3 fights ago by Robin.
I saw his last couple of fights, mate.
You've seen his last couple of fights. Tell us about Borcel against Krasniqi.
Then Andy, shit about this mofo.
Aye,
got
well,
a
I'll just put
revenge.
briefly before Matty comes in. Maybe
Yeah.
fuck it, he got back. It was probably one of the knockouts of the European scene actually when he got knocked out of Krasniki, and then he went life and death with him. And I'm sure in the rematch, I'm sure it was either a majority or a split. He ended up, I think it was a European title possibly, or maybe an IBO belt. But yeah, look, this isn't nothing for Ramirez. This man, Bosel's like mid-30s now at this point, decent level at European, but this is shocking, shite.
Thing is, though, Matty, Gilberto Ramirez seems to fight in a time machine. If you look through his record, he's got guys like Arthur Abraham, Max Bursak, Tommy Carpensi, Sullivan Barrera. In his last fight, it was fun, but he's beating Unieski Gonzalez, who was coming off a big layoff. It seems like he's gone back about 8 years and started fighting all the contenders from them in the top 10.
He really needs a meaningful fight, doesn't he? He's got a resume of has-beens and never was. And that's got to change at some point in time. He seems like a decent enough fighter, but he's doing his best to get his way up to Chavez's record, and he's going to have to find some more cab drivers because he's running out of fucking options.
43-0 now. Andy, Matty mentioned Chavez. That's exactly what I was thinking about. But he's got to fight somebody. He was trying to get himself in the Canelo sweepstakes, but you'd imagine. I mean, this was the pre-Bivol, obviously Canelo sweepstakes. He would have had to have got a couple of names on his record and looked impressive before he was going to get that shot. And he's with Oscar as well. He's flying about promotionally. Bob was happy to get rid of him. It's such a meandering career, and he can be exciting too when he lets his hands go. Ramirez.
Yeah, he's also. I think he's been self-promoting himself over the last couple of fights. I don't know if he's
him and the
signed up.
wife never goes well.
Aye, no, there you go, mate. You know, fucking first we can get away with him, the better. Look, again, we're talking about resumes and that. You know, we're talking about Canelo's record. You can tear up anybody's record, but this record is absolutely hoaching, man. It's brutal. You know, Barrera, good fighter, but at that point, I think he was washed. Possibly Gonzalez washed. Carpense, was that not the guy that Nathan Cleverly fought back in the day? Can't mind if it is.
Long time ago, yeah, absolutely.
You know, so just trash, man. And he's gone up to light heavyweight and he's fighting the ex-European champion who got knocked out off a guy who got absolutely schooled off, I think it was Nathan Cleverly as well. You know, it's just garbage, man. He just, again, it's one of these type of careers. I just think he's happy probably to turn up, take a fight, take a payday, take a check or whatever it is, and then roll on again. But outside of that, I can only see him maybe getting mandated to fight the winner of Joe Smith against Beterbiev, which I think he's high up with the WBO. I've not seen any other rankings, to be honest with you, but I think he might be high up with the WBA as well. So,
which would be okay if Beterbiev is going to beat Smith, say, which I think we will, and he doesn't fight anybody else. He doesn't get the Bivol fight. Him against Ramirez would fill time nicely for me. Wouldn't be opposed to that.
It would. But then obviously Bivol's potentially contracted to the Canelo rematch, so we're not going to see it anytime soon. No, this year I wouldn't think anyway. I had a thought there actually. Maybe Canelo might want to take up a tune-up fight before he fights Bivol, maybe later on this year. But we'll wait and see. I'm just trying to think of other names. I mean, I don't know if Warren would maybe want to put him in the yard for a final eliminator for a WBO title. This is Bosel against Ramirez. I'm sure these guys might be 1 and 2. I need to go and double check the rankings, but I'm sure they might be 1 and 2 with WBA. So it'll be interesting to see if there's some sort of belt on the line or if it's a final eliminator as well. But it's been a career of nothingness, really. That's all it is, mate. I can't even remember the last time I actually watched one of these fights from start to finish. That's how fucking interested I am in his career. It's just been trash.
I did watch the Gonzalez fight actually. It was fun, but like I said, that was because Gonzalez is pretty much done, but he can still punch, so he needs to fight a live body. Does Mr. Ramirez? Moving on, Matty, over to the Dubai helipad over in Burj El Arab next Saturday evening. Badu Jack's going in against the Egyptian Hurricane Hani Atio. 2 fights ago was knocked out in Slovakia by a 14-8 fighter. This one probably won't end well. Also, Canada's Ryan Ford, who I believe once fought, who did he fight? Was it Buatsi going in an 8-rounder against former Tommy McCarthy victim Bilal Lagoon? But the main one I want to ask you about here, Matty, while I quickly nip off to the toilet, is Delphine Passoon going in 10-rounder for the vacant WBC silver female super featherweight title against unbeaten French diamond Elhem Mekhaled. A female fight that you will no doubt enjoy, and feel free to plug Chicks with Dig, which I didn't even realise took place yesterday. Take it away, Matty.
It did, and unfortunately, I actually didn't even see that this fight was going on. The boxing schedule was light, so I haven't been able to do much research on her opponent. But I mean, everybody remembers Pursoon from, really taking Katie Taylor to town in their fight. Probably I don't think probably next to the Serrano fight, definitely the toughest test of Katie Taylor's career. It's interesting because she was really able to rough Katie up at times and seems a bigger fighter in there. And you said this is down at 130 pounds, Steve. So it's coming. If she's coming down for that vacant belt, that's God. She's got to be a bigger, rougher fighter in there. You might want to see one of those rare stoppages in this one. And if she's trying to fight at 130 pounds, that Michaela Mayer fight would be very interesting. Mayer definitely needs a dance partner. She's a high quality fighter, very marketable. But again, there's just such a lack of fighters for some of these gals. But good luck to Pursoon on the helipad. I hope she pulls it off. And Badu Jack could very well be a draw too. It's just every time Badu Jack's in the ring, I think you might as well just go ahead and put a couple bucks on the draw because nobody can underperform under pressure quite like Badu Jack. And I think Steve has ventured off for a second here. Andy, God, would you even tune into this the fight from the helipad in Dubai? I think this might be from where they're going to be having that Mayweather fight. He's looking at taking somebody else's his former sparring partner.
Is that card? Is that Floyd fight next week?
No, I think this is the same place though.
I'm just trying to give my segment. I'm just going to try and pull up the card here, so if we can see Badu Jack. Who's he?
Yeah, I think Floyd is on. I think Floyd is on this helipad card, but he's not listed on BoxRec because it's an exhibition, isn't that right? I could be getting that wrong.
Yeah, I think so, mate.
Is it the same one?
I think so.
That shows how interested I am in seeing Floyd fight his former sparring partner on a helipad.
I'm certain it is actually. Need to mention it.
Well, I can't remember the name of the guy he's fighting, and I remember I looked up his record. He's undefeated, Steve. He's undefeated, and he's fought literally fucking no one you've ever heard of.
Dangerous Don Moore. Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah, it is 14th of May. This is on that. This is the headline.
There you go. How did we miss it? Floyd on the helipad. And apparently, there's like $100,000 tickets or some shit like that. And there's only
really,
and there's only like 50 people that that can buy tickets for some ridiculously low number. So all sorts of exciting things.
Right. Speaking of exciting things, then, Matty, on to a fight which I believe will be featuring in your prediction league next weekend. This is Sergey Kovalev headlining in, where is it? Forum, Inglewood, California. Ryan Kavanagh, Triller. That can only mean one thing. He's going in against Tervel Pulev here. Kubrat's on the undercard as well against Jerry Forrest. Who else we got? Fernando Vargas, not that one. Amado Vargas, maybe that one. Emiliano Vargas, never heard of him. Evan Holyfield's on as well. It's a mismatch. It's a shit show. Matty, Tervel Pulev, 16-0, 13 knockouts. I've seen him fight somebody, actually. Who have I seen him fight, Matty? Who would Tervel Pulev go in with in the past?
There was one name on his record I remembered that was familiar to me. There's a couple. Valery Brudov was on there. He fought him at one point in time, but that was after Brudov was on that steep slide. Yeah. But I'll tell you what, I wish Rob was on right now because there's also a rap battle on this. It was between Onyx and somebody else. So they're really taking us back, Steve. But I'll tell you what, Jerry Forrest against Kubrat Pulev, that's kind of an interesting fight, man, because Jerry Forrest, you talk about an underrated guy, you talk about a spoiler, been on his ass 3 times against Zhang only to come back and fight and earn that draw. That's an interesting heavyweight contest in its own way. Pulev gets the challenge for a title every here and there. He's been around for as long as I can remember. He's a decent enough fighter, but he's always going to be the B-side in a big event, which this is not. But so that could be interesting to tune into. And I'll tell you what, man, Sergey Kovalev's been out of the ring for 2.5 years, Steve. He didn't look good. He doesn't take care of his body. He's he was well over 200 pounds starting training camp, coming up a weight class. I think he's gonna lose.
You're sensing the KO here.
I think the Kovalev is gonna get knocked out by Senor Pulev. That's where I'm going on this one.
I'm looking at Pulev's record, and I actually watched his last fight. He beat a guy called Vikapita Mororo over in Tanzania. Mororo is nicknamed the Beastmaster, but he wasn't able to master Pulev there. So he's clearly a bit of a puncher. So you think that power could translate maybe to the body, and he's going to get Kovalev out of there. How many rounds is this one actually, Matty? Let's have a look here.
I think it's a 10.
Yeah, you might be right, you know. You might be right, actually. Right, okay. I'm going to go completely on its head here and go for a Kovalev knockout, I think. Are you going for Pulev knockout, are you?
Yep, that's what I got.
I think it's going to be a shootout. I think Kovalev's going to find the power against Pulev and he's going to get rid of him, that greater experience. Might even go to points, but I'm going to go for the knockout as well. So that's my pick. Andy's BRB at the moment. Anything else on the undercard that excites you about that one you mentioned already? Yeah, Pulev against Forrest. If Pulev's not on the ball against Forrest, then he could be upset. Forrest pushes Zhang pretty hard. Evan Holyfield, welterweight. Young Holy, is he one of Evander's sons, I take it?
Evan is one of Evander's sons, and he's developing. I don't think they're going to put him in too ridiculously tough, but he could be an interesting prospect. Because if there's anything that you could say about his old man, it's that his old man had a tremendous work ethic, and that's going to translate well to anything that he's wanting to attempt, not just in the ring but in life. Given that, and also that hopefully that family chin that might transfer down, you have to be at least slightly interested in seeing if Evan Holyfield goes anywhere. It's kind of sad we haven't seen more of that from some heavyweight greats. All the Foreman kids crapped out that tried it. But let's see how Evan does on this Triller card. And if I recall, I think you can get a subscription thingamajig and get this fight basically for just a few bucks or something. You don't have to pay ridiculous money potentially. So I just might be having to subscribe to Triller, which I didn't think I'd ever have to say.
Sad Ken says Beastmaster was a film. It was absolutely. It was like a Conan the Barbarian type thing, if I remember correctly. Johnny Horsecock Nelson says Triller trying to crack boxing in the US with the Pulev brothers. That's got to be connected to money laundering somehow. Maybe we'll see a triangular ring there, Andy.
They're going for the grab him by the. They're going for the grab him by the pussy crowd.
Yeah, the octagonal apron, or so the octagonal ring or something like that. With the ropes. It's. I was just having a quick look at it there when I come back. I was having a quick look at BoxRec.
Yeah,
I'm looking at Kovalev and the two Pulevs and Forrest. I mean, they're not exactly Mr. Actives, are they? Christ's sake, you've not seen Kovalev since 2019. I think Tavel Pulev's fought like twice in 3 years. Kurbak Pulev no fought since Joshua beat his ass, I think. And Jerry Forrest, I don't think's fucking fought.
Pulev fought in that really funky 5-sided.
Yeah, the triangle ring. You knocked some fella out.
There you go.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
But it wasn't a professional fight, though, was it?
No, I don't know what it was.
What was it? Was it no bare knuckle shit?
It was against it was a boxing match, but it was against an MMA fighter in a really bizarre ring.
Right, so it's not an official boxing match. That's what I mean, though.
No.
It was 5 rounds too. I think. Scheduled.
Well, we can include that. That's just like a gimmick, really, isn't it? Because we'll always say that boxers against MMA fighters and a fucking boxing rules exhibition, even. It's just nonsense. So. DAZN. Is this a DAZN card, or is this Triller? Or did you say
Triller? Yeah.
I tell you, I thought DAZN was putting shit on just now, but fuck, that's even more. Triller, man. Fucking hell. I dare say they'll have the big, massive rap gigs, and, battles going on, etc. I'm just looking at the card here. See, is that Fernando Vargas' son that's fighting on that card as well?
Yeah, see, that's what I was wondering. There's a load of Vargases. I don't know.
There's Vargai.
It is, Dave. It is. That's his son, aye. That Amado Vargas is his son as well, apparently.
Oh, there you go, then. If they're anything like their old man, they'll be able to fight, all right, because he could certainly fight.
Yeah, but they'll be washed by the time they're 22, though, mate.
Yeah, exactly. What are you going for in the prediction league, Andy? Matty says Kovalev versus Tervel Pulev is on there. I'm going for Kovalev knockout. I think he'll have too much for Tervel.
Me too, mate. I've not, to be honest, I've not seen much of Pulev, that Pulev at least, but I'm thinking Kovalev because he's not cutting weight as such. You know, I think he's still got a bit of decent dig about him. We'll wait and see, but he's probably more kind of naturally suited to cruiserweight, possibly with his size. We'll wait and see. I just hope he doesn't come in some sort of slobby mess, but I still think he should have enough.
40-year-old Russian drunk.
Well, there you go. Shouldn't be fucking fighting, should he? Should be in the front lines. But yeah, I'll go Kovalev stoppage, mate. Was that a 10 rounder, 12 rounder?
10.
I'll say yeah, late stoppage.
MB's in the chat. Good to see him as usual. He said Linus Adofia versus Denzel Bentley, John Ennis versus Custio Clayton, Tony Yoka versus Martin Bacoli. 3 good fights next weekend. You are correct, Mr. MB. We're going to be going on to all of those shortly. Shout out to the Boxing Inquirer as well. He said, good show, lads. All the best. He's thrown in a tenner. Thanks very much to you, Ben. Very much appreciated there. That's him and Gerard, who've both thrown in a tenner so far. I don't know if you want to talk about this one next Friday evening, Matty. I know you like the Italian cards, being of Italian descent yourself.
No, let's not.
Be plenty of dissent on this one. Daniele Scardino against Giovanni Di Carolis. Matty, I feel embarrassed asking you about this. Please accept my apologies.
I honestly have no clue on this card. If I get home early enough, I'll probably watch it because
Carolis still fighting, Jesus.
I know, he must be about 40 now, isn't he?
Yeah.
I don't know what Eddie's plan is with the Italian market, but he keeps finding ways to put together fights with these 40-year-old Dagos, and I am a Dago. Don't cancel us for that one, you jerks. It's like a rapper using the N-word, leave me alone. But it's just, why waste production value, man? Why drive a truck there? What the fuck?
No, maybe they're washing some cash through the laundry. Who knows? Over in France a night later, Andy, on France Canal Plus. This is a sleeper fight. It's been talked about in the past. Finally taking place now. Tony Yoka 11-0 going against Martin Bacoli 17-1. It's a 10-rounder. Would have liked to have seen a 12 myself. It's a really good fight. I like the look of Yoka. I think he's been doing things pretty well. Deserves that step up. Due that step up. Bacoli, even though he's lost to Hunter, he's the most talked about boxer in the gym, according to Billy Nelson. Let's see him finally perform. If he was to upset Yoka, it would be an almighty upset, in my opinion, even though Yoka is pretty much a fledgling heavyweight. I think it's a really good, even matchup and a crossroads fight, Andy.
Yeah, it definitely is. And you remember Bacoli stopped safety pin Johnson. Not many people can do that,
Mm-hmm.
So I'm joking, obviously, but yeah, look, Yoka. I've been kind of like slightly cool on him as such because obviously you had the missed drug test rather than actually failed drugs test, but I think it was missed drugs test, so maybe kind of going to calls into question. There is just something about him grates on me as well. But that said, he has had some incremental improvements. But for what I've seen him, also I've watched a bit of him as an amateur. I remember him getting knocked out actually as an amateur. I don't think he's got the strongest beard. I think if Bacoli lands on him solidly, I think he'll go. I really do think he'll go. But being in France, Yoka has got a bit of temper on him actually as well. See if he starts kind of like tagging on you and start kind of beating on you, he does get a wee bit kind of carried away. He feeds off the crowd a wee bit, and he can get a bit hairy with some of his shots, kind of like maybe like slow, close to kind of fouling type shots at least. But again, it's one of these things. If this is a close competitive fight that goes a distance, there's no way Bacoli's going to get in a position.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I think Bacoli's going to come in here and try and go for the knockout. I actually want to pick him, actually, believe it or not, because just for the banter, just it would just put things up in the air a wee bit.
Gotta let his hands go. Gotta let his hands go.
He's got to let his hands go, exactly, and he kind of let the occasion get to him, I think, as well. But because look, this is a massive opportunity for him. I don't know what age Bacoli is, but if he lets this one slip, it's going to be a very, very. I thought it might need a road back, actually, to be honest with you. Billy's put a lot of time and effort into this guy. Built him back up after that Hunter debacle when he was like wanting to bail out, and Billy's begging, but literally on his knee, actually was on his knees begging him to go back out into the fight. He's fought Wack, Kuzman, and Johnson. Not exactly great opponents as such. They've had their day. The other fighters I can't remember much about, to be honest with you. So it's not exactly, murderer's row and opponents he's been fighting as such. And Yoka's been the same, but again, he's had a rebuild because he's obviously been coming off a ban, been kind of fledgling about that kind of second-tier European level type opponent. So it's a step up for both guys, I think, at this point, and one that neither can afford to lose at this point. So it should be. Hopefully, I think it should deliver at least, because Yoko's got decent power. So is Bacoli. I think it could deliver actually this one.
I agree with Andy, Matty, and I really think Bacoli's got to go out there, take the ball by the horns, really let his shots go, and that will bring the best out of Yoka as well. The fact that it's a 10-rounder might add a bit of momentum, and I could see the last few rounds them really going at each other, and Yoka's not going to want to back down if Bacoli does let his shots go. He can't let the rounds drift again. If it's going to be a 10-rounder, he's got to go out there and throw shots and can't leave things to chance. He's got to show this talent that we're all told about now, and the time for Bacoli is now to deliver.
Oh God, I don't. I think that drug treats and all, Yoko's a bigger puncher. He's more polished. Yoko within 5.
Yoka in 5? Matty's gone for the knockout here. Come on, Matty, tell us more.
I just think he's the more polished fighter. I think there's levels to this thing, and I think he's gonna whack him out of there pretty easily. First half of the fight. Yeah. I'm more excited that Rob's here.
Yeah, Rapping Rob Kelly's on the call. We want to hear his opinion on Canelo Bivol. But you know what, Rob? We're talking a bit of Yoka Bacoli here. Martin Bacoli, you on the train or what?
Yeah, I am. Yeah, I'm on the Yoka Bacoli hype train. I fucking couldn't wait.
Come on, Rob.
I just tuned in. I was sitting and waiting and listening to the show for the last hour and a half. I said, as soon as the boys start talking Tony Yoka, get me on the show. That's what I said.
I'm getting the vibes off Rob just doing that. I'm not watching fucking Yoka Bivol on a Friday night. Are you out of your mind?
Fucking, if I was a journalist after every fucking Tony Yoka fight, I would just lead with the headline, Yoka, oh no.
Think I've used that one in the past myself, Rob. What do you think then? Who's going to win this
You
one?
have that one,
The
Steve.
big one. Come on.
From what I saw, the last time I saw Tony Yoka actually fight, it was against Dave Allen, so I don't know what the fuck that says.
You mentioned that actually. Fuck, he was a heavy bag, wasn't he?
Yeah. So Bacoli should be fighting charges for what he had up on his fucking Twitter, even though he was, outraged about it. So I'm gonna go with Yoka. I know Billy Nelson talks a big game for Bacoli, but I think he has a ceiling. And I think he's been struggling for a fight so bad that they've had to take a guy where they're the B side of this. And Yoka's a bit of a is it in France? It is.
Yeah.
Yep.
Where else is it going to be? What am I fucking saying? Of course it is. Yeah. So the French, great bunch of lads as well. I think it's going to be Yoka by decision.
Yoka by decision. Here, Rob. What about the big decision
last
night then? Bivol by decision. Nobody saw that coming. The judges tried their best to skew it as best as they could, but Bivol managed to get out of there with the win.
Yeah, well, I think a couple of us called the fight last week. None of us believed that the result could happen. I know Rob Tebbett is probably the only man in fucking boxing Twitter that was correctly calling us SD for Bivol. But the story of the fight kind of went how I thought it would go. I didn't think that. I thought, like I said, that we all knew Kovalev was fucking practically a fucking alcoholic by the time he made the Canelo fight. Like he was a cherry pick there. That was right for the taking. And I think somewhere along the lines after the 268 performances against, it's got to be said, an inactive Billy Joe Saunders and an equally pretty inactive Caleb Plant, who are good, brilliant, top of the level 168 pounders, and probably would have a rightful claim for the best in the world at that weight at a particular stage if Canelo wasn't in the division. But I think people start believing Canelo's Superman and he can just fucking go up and unify 175. And when I heard Hearn saying that during the week, and I genuinely thought it was a kind of a wind-up to Frank Warren. It was something to do with Bacoli and Anthony Yarde. There was some kind of shot of Frank Warren in there. But he was alluding to the fact that Canelo was going to go up and unify by first beating Bivol and then fighting Tarbiev. And I'm like, you fucking mad, man. What are you trying to do to him? Like, he's 5'8". He's a 160 pounder who, with the benefit,
baby. So fight Usyk next.
Yeah. And then that's this tournament. Yeah, and then Canelo saying like that he'd fight him at 200 pounds and all. Like, people start fucking believing he's Superman. He's been jumping up and down weight classes for the last 6 years. To me, he's a 160 pounder. There was a time where, let's not forget, I know he was a lot younger, but it's not like, there was a time in his 20s where they were saying that he was too small for fucking 160 when Sergio Martinez was the champion there and Golovkin was the champion. Remember, don't forget that. Like, they took an absolute ion to move up to 160 to face Golovkin, even threw a WBC belt in the bin along the way.
Yeah, floating
Well,
around at 155 against
They
Cotto and all that.
defended that. They defended that middleweight belt at 156 and 155 pounds for years.
So the guy was considered too small to be a middleweight less than 6-7 years ago, and now he's jumping up around 170, 168, floating up to 75, and thinking that he's going to unify the fucking title. Like, I know he's the beneficiary of some, how would you say this? Drugs. Drugos.
Yeah, what are you talking about, Rob? Be clearer, please.
Brutalmente honesto. He's a pet cheat, isn't he? So, you know,
train hard, train harder.
Yeah, exactly. So he's been allegedly receiving the benefits of all that and jumping up and down weight classes. But there comes a time where that kind of shit comes to an end, and I just didn't see him being able to kind of Bivol going out and circling him a little bit, and then he hit him in the body, kind of a la Billy Joe Saunders and Caleb Plant, and him sticking to the script. I kind of thought he was going to throw punches when Canelo takes breaks. I thought the high guard was brilliant because it didn't give Canelo kind of any encouragement. And then you see that there's moments in spots and fights that I thought where Canelo returned to form last night. So in the two fights, you could say he got beaten before that. Definitely, I thought Golovkin beat him in the first fight. Floyd obviously schooled him. But at times in those fights where he's uncomfortable, he backs up. And I thought when I saw early doors watching this last night, I said, holy shit, I couldn't live commentate because I was actually watching on the phone. I was too lazy to get out of bed to go down to the TV and watch it, just watch it on the phone. But I thought, holy shit, he's backing him up here. Bivol is backing him up, and he don't fancy it. Like, so he's selling wolf tickets, you know, waving him in, but all the time taking big breaths. And I thought the size was a factor, but as well as that, Bivol's fucking excellent, man. He just needed somebody to bring it out of him, didn't he? Like, he just needed a dance partner to show how good he is. I think a lot of people wrote him off without actually even looking at him, because a lot of people were saying he was he was going to be a Euro bum or a robotic Eastern European fighter, but he don't fight like that. He has all the kind of circles around, you know, how do I paint this? I can see this thing in my head, but I can't. I'm not sure if I can express it. But you know, the kind of the square edge of the European fighter, where Bivol is a lot more kind of polished, isn't he, and rounded. Like he's
been on the West Coast, Rob, since he turned pro. People forget that.
Yeah, your Eurobum bracelet was like you're basically a guy who was up straight, chin in the air.
Yeah, straight up and down, no special effects.
Yeah, jab, right hand, you know, that type of thing.
Yeah, and he's more than that. Like, and I remember Roy Jones saying that about him years ago. He's got like shades of an American fighter. He's Russian and he's got the Eastern European style if he wants to use it, but he's got way more influence, and his influences are actually, I believe, American fighters in that as well. So he's a bit of that in his armory, and I thought he was brilliant last night. Combination punching, he was busy. He didn't let Canelo getting momentum in the fight. Canelo's punches didn't seem to hurt him. I thought a lot of his stuff was a little bit labored. Canelo looked like he just looked like he needed to turn up, and he was sticking to script. And then he, in the middle of a fight, he was like, "Oh shit!" So, even head, this puts your two biggest pay-per-view guys. By the way, your big mates. Canelo, I know he's your friend. Ooh, Canelo friends. Frank Smith is Bivol's promoter because Canelo's my friend. Well, you have to get your friend in the shit now, pal, because your two biggest pay-per-view stars have scheduled rematches with fellas that they can't beat. So, evening, Ed. Good Sunday. How are you doing?
I don't know about that so much, Rob. I think the shit that Usyk might have seen. I think, and I heard he lost a lot of weight when he was there serving. I wouldn't be shocked if Joshua pulls this out, and it's not because he's a better fighter.
Nah, I think that's propaganda, Matty, as we hear at more times.
Zero chance of that happening, mate.
Yeah,
Can I just mention something?
Yeah,
Sorry,
yeah.
mate,
You go ahead. No, you go ahead. Anna.
I was just going to mention something. Obviously, something about Bivol that I picked up on. I was watching some training videos during the week, and you know how we kind of like going about these trainers with that kind of flash pity patty pad work that they do. Right, just pish. It's just for the cameras. But see, if you watch Bivol in the gym, it's like a proper one. It's like straight shots, working on it. You know, repetitions, constant jab, right hand, left hook, back it up, double jab, right hand. You know, straight shots at all times. There's nothing flash about it. Just precision punching at all times. And he just says, when you see, you know, Bivol kind of like throwing his punches there last night, there was straight shots. That's all you need to do. Jab, right hand. As I keep saying, Alexis well mastered it. If you can master the jab right hand and bring a left hook in there,
Yeah.
you're going to go places. You're going to go miles.
We're
Your
sitting.
Arguello comparison is spot on, I think.
Yeah, everything is off the jab with Bivol. I think that's kind of what, like, that's why we were also high on him there a couple of years ago when he first kind of broke through. I think he had a knockout performance. Was he in the UK for that as well? He flattened somebody.
Aye,
Broadhurst. That was Monaco, wasn't it?
Aye,
yeah, it's at Broadhurst, Monaco. It was a matchroom card, was it not? Or yeah, I believe it was before the.
Yeah, it was Jamie McDonald card, I think.
Before the insurgence of fucking DAZN, but yeah, everything is off the jab with him. I think he's missed it. He's gone through. He's touching the Roy Jones about him, isn't he? When he's much better than the guy, he just go through the gears. Like that's a wide comparison, but you know what I mean. He just go through the gears. But when he had the dance partner last night, he showed exactly what he's made of. Like, and yeah, Andy's right. Like he leads everything off the jab, but he varies it. Like he comes around with the hook. He's going up and down stairs with it. I just thought he was just way better than Canelo last night, and stinking from the judges, by the way. Fucking stinking that he has to do that. That he has to. Get a decision.
We've gone
like
in
that.
on them as well, Rob.
Yeah,
It's
I'm sure you have. It's an absolute disgrace. No, seriously, it's fucking like how like it cannot be incompetence. It just can't be. Has to be the most high level corruption, and
they all scored the first 4 rounds for Canelo. All of them,
zip.
first 4,
and he lost 3-1, I think, by Mike Cad for the first 4 rounds. So
me too.
So yeah, like. People there's been big stories in boxing about a great bunch of lads that I want to get rid of. Like, well, like I hope once the kind of landscape clears, like that they start going after some of the corruption within the fucking actual sanctioning bodies, because this has to be the root of it. Where the fuck are these judges getting their scorecards out of? There was a shocking one in the Fury White one as well a few weeks ago. I think somebody had fucking Dillian White up did after 4 rounds.
Are you fucking me?
Look at the Terence Crawford cards against Sean Porter.
Yes, sickening. Yeah. So it's. I think a lot of it has been alluded to before, that there's big time betting in Vegas, and that SDs and MDs have a kind of an impact on the bottom line, and the house always wins, that way. So that was scandalous to do that to Bivol. I thought he was going. I thought he'd had actually no chance of doing it. I kind of thought he'd win an 8-4 clear one and lose 115, 113. But credit to him for winning that widely. That he took it out of the judges' hands.
Got those 2 extra rounds.
He fucking bossed it. But listen, the thing is, he bossed it. He was a clear winner and still deliberately tried to hose him.
Well, if he'd have knocked him out, he might have got a draw. That way.
Exactly. It was like the only thing missing there last night was like the referee for the Robin Reed fight against Sven Otka. You can't punch him, mate.
Aye, when Canelo picked Bivol up. Aye. Bivol likes getting picked up. Didn't Joe Smith pick him up as well?
Aye. He doesn't give a fuck, man.
And speaking of, we haven't mentioned the ref once. Who was that in there? Kenny Bayless last night?
Mora, wasn't it?
Was it Mora? There you go. They were such they had such little involvement in what was going on. I couldn't even remember who ref the fight.
The referee did okay, but around the 8th or 9th, Matty, I did think he warned Bivol a couple of times. Then he went to his corner after in between rounds and said something to him, and I thought, no, ref, don't be doing this now. Don't be getting involved. And he didn't, thankfully. But I thought he did have the potential to be a nuisance, but he didn't matter.
Yeah, it was a good fight in that, the judges almost tried to fuck it. At least the ref wasn't involved in that fuckery as well. It was, like I said, I couldn't even remember who the hell was the referee, because they had such little involvement. It was perfect.
I think as well, Andy, what Rob mentioned, we all knew Bivol was capable of this, and we just hoped that he would come and a fighter would take him to that next level. And his sparring sessions with Benavidez says, he doesn't like people getting one over on him. He does have the devil in him. And the knockout of Sullivan Barrera at the end gave me confidence and hope, Andy, that would be the case, that once he really got put on him, all those performances against Salamov, Richards, all these other guys would go out the window, and the devil would come out of him, and that was the case.
The thing is, Tim, you see him in the ring, he has got this facial demeanour actually that means fucking business, like, to be honest with you. You think what's his ethnic group? Moldovan,
Kazakhstan,
and Korean.
Moldovan
and Korean.
What a deadly mixture that is, man. There's just fucking nowhere about it. I'm just trying to think about last week, what we're talking about. One thing we wanted to see from him, at least, because it's like he's been safety first, just doing his thing. You just think he's got another couple of gears to go up, but never seems to go up the gears, because he never seems to get knockouts. It's always 12-round decisions, or he's happy to get a late stoppage. I've never really seen him hurt. I was watching back some tape there during the week, as I mentioned to you guys last week. I was going to keep looking at it. I think it was Pascal that caught him a right hand over the top that slightly wobbled him.
I think Joe Smith might have.
No, it was Joe Smith. Sorry,
yeah,
Joe Smith.
in one of the fights, but it was really brief.
Yeah, and you know what he did? It was right at the end of the round. He came out, he did in the next round. He came out and went to fucking town.
And went to him in the 10th.
Yep.
That's right. Yeah,
he took it to him. So yeah, but he's clearly a bit of a bad dude about him as well. He's not going to let anybody take liberties with him. Beterbiev is a fight we're all thinking about now at this point. There is a rematch serves no purpose for me. I don't know about you guys. I think Matty, I don't think he wants to see it. I'm not even over enamored to see Canelo fighting Golovkin, but I want to see him fight the winner.
Get back down to 68. Go back down to fucking fight 68. Why is he? He's on a hiding to nothing if he fights Bivol again, unless they absolutely hose Bivol. Because I think better fighter wins the rematch 99% of the time, man. I think Bivol has his number. Like, what could Canelo do differently to beat Bivol this time?
Be more competitive for a couple more rounds, and then he'll get the decision.
I don't think he's able to that way, though. Is he? I think his fucking.
Well, you're right there because he was blowing the. I seen him like dragging it 8 rounds, mate. He was really heck.
New judges who actually read the script this time and give Canelo the win.
Get neutral judges, man. Didn't get yanked judges. Fucking get Europeans or Mexicans or whoever's going to be. Get them fucking off the line. Get somebody else in there.
Hey guys, I'm curious who you guys thought was more competitive with Bivol between Canelo and Craig Richards.
Well, Craig Richards put up a good fight against Bivol, didn't he? With the jab and the size and the strength. But I mean, you'd have to say Canelo. I'd say.
You think?
Well, according to the cards, anyway. But physically, punch for punch, I can't remember the Richards fight that well, Matty. To comment, to be honest, maybe
he looked a hell of a lot better in the 12th round. Than
yeah, but then
Canelo
it was a diminished version, an undermotivated version of Bivol he was up against, wasn't it?
Yeah, this is what we said last week. Although, Matty, you need to remember, we're talking about him, Bivol stepping up. Not the fact is, would they get tested, but he's also stepped up in the big leagues here, where it's like prime time stuff, and he's fucking. He's just beat supposed pound for pound king in boxing. He's just fucking done that. Did he just do it? He fucking schooled him. So we know he's mental. Mentally he is.
But do you think,
all there.
Here's one for you. Do you think that weight classes? I want to sound like Paulie Malignaggi. Weight classes for a reason, guys. It's a weight class for a reason. But do you think that, like, because I remember when Tito moved up to fight Hopkins, I'm old enough to remember that one, and I remember thinking that people are out of their mind if they have Hopkins a fucking 3-1 underdog here. Like, first of all, he's not that easy to hit. Like, I don't give a shit how hard Tito hits. He's not that easy to hit. Plus, he'll dig in. Plus, he's bigger. Plus, he's a spoiler. Plus, he's good to the body. Like, there was so much shit that I was thinking, what the fuck are people seeing here that Tito's going to walk through B-Hop? And I was kind of the same thinking that Canelo, like, he's too fucking small to beat. Like, is it that big of a surprise that Bivol beat the shit out of him last night? I suppose it is, because we've been seeing him kind of defy logic over the last couple of years when it comes to weights. But, like, fucking light heavyweight world champion. Like, it's not that easy. Just go up fucking 15 pounds or 7.5 pounds, whatever it is, and carry all your power and your speed all up. Like, I think just 175 is a bridge too far for Canelo. Like,
I see your man Floyd. I think he had $8 grand on Canelo to lose there last night.
So fucking petty, isn't he?
Yeah.
Bet he's had that bet on everyone that he's fought for the last fucking 10 years. By the way, waiting to post it because he's so fucking petty. He's fighting tonight, by the way, on the top of.
That's next week.
That's next week. Next Saturday.
Oh, is it? I thought it was tonight. Or maybe the press conference is tonight. Sorry, guys. Sorry.
Here, Steve, did they? Hopefully, you got that video sent in for Bell of the Week, the one where Floyd was standing.
Oh yeah, I got that.
Oh baby, cannot wait, baby.
Hey Rob, and since you weren't here, who do you have between Turvel Pulev and Sergey Kovalev on Saturday?
Depends. Tell me how I'm doing in a prediction league before I make this fucking step.
There was no change from last week. One of the fights got scrapped and Canelo lost, so none of our guesses mattered.
Still on top. That's what I like to hear. I don't know, man. Pulev versus fucking Kovalev.
Turvel Pulev.
This is Pulev's brother.
Undefeated, real cruiserweight.
Undefeated in the streets, Rob.
This is the one, Rob, that fought Klitschko. This is the one that fought Joshua. This is the brother. This is the poverty.
He fought the Beastmaster in Tanzania last time, Rob.
Yeah, and I don't know,
man. I don't know. Like, who the fuck? Where are they fighting?
They're in Los Angeles.
Triller.
Rob. I said
Onyx is in a rap battle on it. I can't remember who they're battling.
Onyx and Cypress Hill, isn't it?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. I should be watching this.
I told you there'd be some sort of rap thing on there. I told you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then your sound breaks up. That's perfect timing.
Oh, is he cut
where's he
off?
gone?
Son of a bitch.
You there, Rob? Oh, we've lost him.
Oh,
We'll try and get him back.
No, I'm here. I'm here. You hear
Yeah,
me?
go on. Yeah, we can hear you.
Sorry, I've no headphones in. My fucking head is hitting off the fucking buttons on the fucking StreamYard. I'm gonna go Kovalev via stoppage. One last big stoppage from the Crusher.
Ooh, so I'm the only one taking Pulev. Right on.
You're just trying to make up ground now with that.
I have to. Dude, he's a fucking 40-year-old alcoholic who's been out of the ring for 2.5 years, moving up a weight class.
Yeah, but when I see him on IG, he's no sitting around getting drunk on vodka, mate. He looks all right. He's not like looking bloated or anything like that. I wouldn't.
He came into camp at like 210, 215 pounds, dude, and he's down to he's got down to 187.
Yeah, but it's
good for him.
Pulev. It's Tervel Pulev. Come on, Matty. It's
gonna be a 187 on the Thriller card. 187 on Pulev.
How much are they getting paid? Just out of curiosity. This is because
they're not going to get paid.
Do you think I'm insane in the brain, Rob?
Insane in the membrane.
Yeah, I'm not going to pull out my piece and blow it off in the middle of the Source Awards, though.
What I'd say, in terms of what they're getting, a lot if it's Thriller, because they seem to be paying very well. These are a great bunch of lads, Thriller. I don't know where they're getting their big pile of money from, but great bunch of lads.
No problem. Making the checks cash anyway. Here, Rob, I was going to ask you I was going to mention one thing to you just before we moved on from Canelo. I liked a little veteran move that he was pulling last night. You know, when Bivol was throwing the 5 and 6 punch combinations, Canelo was soaking up about 3 of them on the face, and then he did like the head side to side thing as if he had dodged them all. He'd done that a few times. Did you notice that?
I noticed that. It's like a bit like it's a bit like Daniel Gill after he took shots. Now he starts all that fucking shit.
Yeah, he was like saying to the judges as if he had ducked them all, or moved out the way.
Like a prime Jimmy Kelly versus Liam Smith. There he was.
Sly move. Right, let's move on then to the next show of interest, Andy. This is a domestic card, but I'm actually looking forward to it. Fat Mick's not involved, but it's on Channel 5. Linus Adofia headlining 17-0 against Denzel Bentley, last seen getting knocked out by Felix Cash. Vacant British middleweight title on the line. Josh Kelly returns on the undercard as well. Harlem Eubank against Sean Dodd. Adofia against Bentley in the main event for the British title on Channel 5 Friday night. I think that's a pretty good main event, actually. That's good stuff from Kelly Solan.
Is that Friday night you said, mate?
Next Friday night, yeah. Adofia against Bentley, British title, Channel 5.
I didn't even know that card was on, mate, to be honest with you. So I need to go and check it out. No, see, I've not done any research for next week at all, mate. I'm going to be honest with you in that regard.
That's why we need Oz, man. He's always these cards. This is his bread and butter.
I recognise that name that Josh Kelly's fighting. Who the fuck is that?
Oh, Zinajaz or something.
Oh, right, so that'll be his first squirt up to 154. We'll get a blowout job there. Masher Dodds, he's still fighting.
Oh, it seems to be, yeah.
Fucking hell, man.
So you're not going to Glasgow? You're not going to Glasgow to see Hannah Rankin?
I'm a fuck, mate. Are you kidding me? I'm trying to get my ass down to Seville, man, for fuck's sake. What are you talking about?
It's like £100 a ticket, that Rankin thing, isn't it?
Is it?
Oh, it's in the Hydro, isn't it? Hobson, Fight Zone.
If it was Louis Rankin, I'd go to it. Shout out all the reggae fans.
The fuck?
Nah, don't worry about it, Andy. That should be a decent fight, though, if you're watching the old boxing next Friday evening. Bentley against Adofia. I'm looking forward to that one. That should be good, but we'll move on to the good stuff from America next week. Jerome Ennis against Custio Clayton. Jamel Charlo as well going in against Brian Castano. The rematch is in the Dignity Health Sports Park. I think that's the old StubHub Arena. So that should be good stuff. Matty, we'll start with you for this one. Let's go to the chief support first of all. Jerome Ennis against Custio Clayton. Clayton is undefeated, but the draw came against Sergei Lipinets, who Ennis absolutely blasted in about 6 rounds. So I'm a little bit dubious about Clayton's chances here. He might be tough enough to last the distance, but I don't think he's fought anyone in Ennis's class, even though Ennis hasn't really gone in against any top contenders as yet, I suppose. Lipinets was a former champion. He blasted him out of there. The point I'm trying to make is, Matty, Ennis is a damn fine fighter. Hasn't fought anyone elite yet, but I think he's going to stop Clayton.
Oh, I would have to think so. Clayton definitely has far more limited opposition at this side of Lipinets even than Ennis has. Just a few fights ago, I mean, I can see he's taken on DeMarcus Corley. That kind of gives you an idea of where they've been putting him up. And Ennis just seems like he's the goods. We'll see obviously more of Clayton, and we'll have to judge him kind of off how he looks against Ennis. But this is the blue chip prospect. This is a guy who should be getting a title shot very, very soon as far as real titles go. God knows if he holds an interim or gold. I can't even keep track of that shit anymore. But there's such a deep welterweight stable with the PBC that it's kind of a shame that he's fighting this guy, but get this cleared out, get this knocked out of the way, and let's get him in the conversation with, putting him in with a Stanionis or somebody like that. And let's give this talent a chance to shine.
Ennis Stanionis, sign me up for that one, Rob. 34-year-old Clayton, the war machine. He's Canadian.
Danny Ennis, that's really closer.
If Ennis can get past Clayton, he's got to be looking at world titles soon. He looks the goods to me.
Oh yeah, Jerome Ennis is the real deal, dude. Definitely, unless he's got a glass jaw for some reason. There was a good amount of American welterweights in the 80s who had like great attributes and ropey chins. Like, I don't know if we can add to that list. I haven't seen it tested, but he's passing the eye test definitely. He kind of ragdolls opponents, doesn't he? He's like big, strong guy, athletic, good range, good power. Seems to have like all the attributes that you could see him mixing it with the likes of a Bud Crawford and Errol Spence and Keith Thurman and those guys now. I think, why not? Like, throw him. I think, is he with PBC? Yeah.
Clayton is, and we're hoping. I think Ennis has got his problems ironed out now. I think the legal thing's out the way, and he is going to be PBC. Yeah.
Well, if he's with PBC, like he's in the home with welterweights, isn't he? So he's going to be in big money fights, and I think they're going to be looking long term to make him the heir to the throne of Spence, and the winner of Crawford or whatever. But he's definitely come along to shit. I mean, look at the welterweight division now. If Ennis goes on to be what we think he'll be, there's some super fights ahead, like some superb fights ahead to make. Whether they get made or not is another thing. But I mean, it looks like Crawford and Spence are going to handle their business. Like, and surely he'll be around knocking on the door in the shake-up. Fucking Conor Ben. If Spence beats Bud Crawford, I believe he'll go to 154. Crawford's already said if he beats Spence, he'll go to 154. Are they both looking north because they don't want a bit of Jerome Ennis? And I don't think fighters think like that, but you wouldn't blame him for scooting off. He's kind of high risk, low reward, isn't he? Nobody knows him, but he's a fucking beast. And I think he'll get the stoppage at the weekend.
Andy, you're on the train as well. He's a big old unit, Ennis. He's looking the good so far. I don't see Clayton being able to derail him.
No, I'm the same, mate. Again, some people can say that Ennis is overrated if they won't. Obviously, we just need to see him tested. The main thing is this about Ennis is he has never, ever went past, I don't think he's went any further than 6 rounds in his pro career. So, we then know how the tank is really, the resistance if he gets taken into deep waters. But he's still 24. I don't know how long his career's going to last at 147. He's fucking massive, huge. But real deal, he just needs to reach out and take it when the opportunity arises, when he gets a big name. Again, at this point, he's 24. He's obviously still hit his peak. Still hit his physical strength as well. Virgil Ortiz seems to be non-commissioned at the minute. He seems to be having weight problems. That Stanionis fight is just absolutely delightful if it gets made. I would love to see that fight. One of the greatest jabs in the sport just now, Stanionis against probably one of the greatest, no, I wouldn't say great, but very, very well-schooled switch hitter in Ennis. Massive, big hitter. If you see him for the kind of standing orthodox triple left hooks, he's just got it all. But you just need to see him put it all together now. Big fights, but are we going to get them? This is just another matter. Spence, Crawford, Thurman, these guys at the kind of latter half of the careers, they're wanting big paydays. Whereas Boots is basically, if he's wanting these fights, if there is any interest, he's going to have to take way the short wedge and basically back himself to beat these guys at some point in order to try and get big paydays, because I just don't know who at this point would want to fight him. Really, I just didn't see any of the titleists. looking to fight him at least. I know Avanesyan possibly would maybe have fought him with a mandatory situation, possibly, but I don't know what happened with that.
Don't care what anybody says, Andy, champion or challenger. They'd all fight. A lot of them would fight him, but he wouldn't be an easy night's work. They wouldn't be looking forward to fighting him, I don't think.
Maybe one. What about Butayev? I mean, rough. He likes to put it in there. Head. He is kind of like a well puncher. Stanionis is obviously waiting for Spence. If Ennis is this is a final eliminator, maybe he waits for the Spence winner against Crawford if that ever happens. Who knows? Unless he gets called for the mandatory. But I like to see him be a Butayev fight. I don't know about Thurman at this point. Although Thurman looked good in his last fight, at least for coming off his for that length of duration for being out the ring. But I don't know who else outside the champions at least would put a dent in Ennis at this point. Outside of Stanionis, maybe Thurman would give him some work. Butayev would I think Butayev would definitely give him a bit of a rough night, but I still think he'd have enough to basically get him down the stretch possibly.
Yeah, Des says I think they feed Thurman to Boots. I can imagine Boots just laying those heavy hands on Thurman's brittle body. And Andy, one thing that came to my mind there as well, at least the Canelo sweepstakes might be put to an end now if he goes off and fights Bivol in a rematch, or the invincibility and the payday disappears. That might free things up. These guys who are hanging around for years on end to try and fight him, they might fight each other now.
Well, this is that. I forget the guy who was mentioning it, but it's like he's not a boogeyman really. He's just like he's the cash man. You had Charlo calling him out. You had Golovkin sitting out for a while, trying to get the fight made. Who else do you have? You had like the whole division at 168.
Andrade.
Yeah, the whole 68 division was
everybody 60 to 68. Everybody 60 to 75.
It's sat aside waiting for the fucking phone call. The whole division did. 168. Callum Smith, Billy Joe. They all sat and waited for the fucking phone call. They knew what his plans were. He wanted all the belts at 68, so they were like, right, okay, I'll just sit back and wait for the fucking phone call. Benavidez fucked up though. He failed for drugs. He was stripped his belt. And now he's talking about wanting to take the fight now for less money. It's fucking madness. Just fight. Just get in the ring and fight. Earn your position.
Even the cruiserweights were waiting for fucking Canelo get this for a show. Canelo, which seems fucking more ridiculous after that.
Macabu trying to put off Machunu and all.
Yeah. What the fuck
Sergey Kovalev, man. Sergey Kovalev fighting after like 5 weeks.
Fuck's sake.
Oh dear. Right, let's get on to the big one for next week. Matty, it is Jamel Charlo going in against Brian Castano. We've seen them fight before. The WBC, WBA, IBF, WBO titles are all on the line. It's an undisputed unification. After last night, I am absolutely buzzing for this fight. I was looking forward to it anyway. The first one whet the appetite. I can't wait for this next week now. I think it's going to be a great one.
I do too. And I watched the first fight again this morning and enjoyed it. What a great fight it was. The betting markets on this one, considering it was a draw, they opened up with fighters paying about even on each other. I think Charlo might have been a slight favorite, and he's moved up to minus 200 now. So the markets are moving in favor of Charlo at this point in time, and it's and I tend to have to agree with them and the reason is I think that Charlo has more tools. He has a slightly higher ring IQ. And I think what really is going to separate this fight is that he has a corner who I guarantee has dissected that last fight and has developed a game plan to rectify some of the mistakes. And I think unless Castano comes in really looking for some uppercuts when he has Charlo up against the ropes, which I believe is the real available shot, I don't, as much as I love him, I love his output. He's a great fighter. If it was a sentimental favorite, I'd be going with Castano all day long. But I think this is one of those cases where the better fighter, given a second chance at it, is going to put together what they need to do to really take home a victory. So not only am I going with Charlo for the victory, I think he's going to do it decisively with a stoppage.
Actually, Andy, Matty is going along the same lines as I was originally. I thought Charlo was going to learn his lessons, just as he did in the Tony Harrison fight, and managed to stop Castano in the rematch. But something after last night, I don't know, I just had the buzz of Bivol getting the win. leans me, maybe my heart above my head is thinking maybe Castano can pull it off 2 weeks in a row. Andy, what do you think?
No, I don't think so. I think Charlo will win this fight, and one of the reasons I keep thinking about it is because Charlo's coming off that surgery off was it his bicep or his shoulder, I think it was. Remember the fight was originally planned and they got cancelled because of it.
Right.
And also how Charlo finished the first fight as well might have a maybe a psychological effect for him as well, because he knows they can hurt Castano. I think if he could maybe have hurt him earlier, it may have been a different fight, because Castano obviously was putting very good pressure on him. Basically saying is if Castano was maybe more of a banger, actually, he could have maybe have had more success in hurting Charlo a wee bit. Because Charlo, for me, I felt you watched the fight more recently than what I did, but did you think that Charlo looked kind of slightly out of the answers until he actually landed that shot on Castano?
It seemed like
it was slipping away from him, like he was losing. I thought he was slipping.
Yeah, and other than that one judge who had it wide for Charlo, the judges seemed to really like what Castano was doing in the middle. He just seemed to crowd him. He picked the right spots, and he was just eluding most Charlo's shots. But then Charlo just started to find it. I think it was the 9th or the 10th round when he really hurt him, and he pretty much took it home from there. And I mean, that's why I'm leaning so hard into Charlo, is I think he started to find the answers, and I think it's going to just kind of continue. I'm not looking at this as round 1 so much as I'm looking at it as round 13.
Well, with Charlo though as well, Andy, he tends to slightly ease off, and maybe the stamina's not there. He has the power to bail himself out, but if he eases off the gas, Castano will pick up in those pockets and win rounds and take advantage of that.
That was actually going to be my next point, mate. To be honest, there is moments where he has like lapses in fights. He has kind of like goes around about the perimeter, kind of like looks about, maybe kind of retreat to the ropes a couple of times as well. And Castano can be very active, and maybe he's just trying to pick his moments. Could be an issue with the weight cut. You just never know. But I go back to this injury that Castano. How bad was it? And from the time he had the surgery to how long it was for the fight getting remade, I think it's something like, I want to say like 12 weeks. So how bad was that injury that needed surgery that it's okay for him to come back in 12 weeks? I think Charlo probably does it on points. Again, the first fight was a great fight, to be honest with you. I don't know if it can live up to the first fight, to be honest, because maybe Charlo does something different. I don't think Castano can fight any other way, to be honest with you. He needs to be aggressive. He needs to go and look for it, because he's the B side. He's not getting any favours. So yeah, I think Charlo probably does it on points. Maybe a couple of knockdowns along the way, but definitely Charlo on points.
I'm going for Charlo stoppage, Matty, like you. Rob, what's better for boxing, Charlo winning or Castano winning?
I think Charlo for the landscape, but Charlo has to be more active, and he has to be active against big guys. I think he was sitting out as well, waiting for the shout on Canelo, wasn't he? There was talks Canelo was going PBC, and there was an offer for him on the table. I think it's going to be a Charlo KO victory pretty early. I think he's going to rip into him. I think we've seen, like you alluded to with the Harrison thing, I don't know if there's stages with Charlo. I don't think he's ever going to be an elite level fighter, as much as they're trying to sell us that he's that in the States. Showtime, PBC and everything, they're kind of putting a bit of weight behind him. I don't think he's that good. I think he looks a little bit flustered at times when he's put under pressure, and I don't think he's that good at making adjustments on the fly. But I do favour him in the rematch. I think his power was crisper or something, or more, or kind of had a more was more impactful during the fight than Castano, who hurt him but was roughing him up and backing him up. And I think Charlo panics a little bit. There's a bit of panic stations about him, and I think that's what will kind of lead to his downfall when he gets to the top level. But for next week, I think he's going to flatten him with a hook in the first half of the fight.
Yeah, Rob, was there no a video coming about there a couple of weeks ago about the two of them being gassed at an event? Was it ringside a couple of weeks
Oh,
ago?
they were at Hennessy. They had a confrontation with
It was
Benavidez, didn't they?
Benavidez. That's who it was. Aye,
Off the
Benavidez.
Hennessy. Off the
Yeah,
Hennessy,
that's
says
right.
Benavidez. So they're on the. Yeah, but maybe like he's not living the life. I mean, I think that the indicators are there to show that he's maybe not, like when they're leaving stacks of cash at the 40 club and all that. Like, you know, but you know,
Getting robbed of the jewellery.
so maybe they're that athletic, like that they get by, well, you know, keeping it lit socially and training when they have to. So there is guys like that. Like, and I think even if he's on the Hennessy, I think he's going to have enough to beat Castano. I do think he'd knock him out, and it's going to be one of those kind of, you know, Charlo told you all moments from Charlo himself in the post fight. So where does he go after that? I don't know. Like he needs a dance partner to put himself on the map. It's going to be sink or swim for him. But like I said, I think he'd have too much for Castano.
No, I agree with you, Rob. I think he definitely needs a dance partner to bring the best out to him. No more pissing about for either of them after this fight. But I also agree with you, Rob, about the power thing. Charlo's power seems to be more detonating, and it really had Castano's legs wobbling. Whereas Castano's moments of joy came from Charlo being overwhelmed and disorganized and caught with the hook, which is all legitimate as well. But I think Charlo's obviously has that one-punch power, whereas Castano was catching him in between the lines and stuff. So I agree with you there, Rob. I think Charlo's the natural puncher.
Yeah, I just think he's coming to get the job done on Saturday. Like he needs to, doesn't he? It's all on the line for Charlo. Like he can't
Like
afford
he
him
was
to
against
slip.
Harrison. He was focused
Yeah.
and really wanted that knockout.
Well, Harrison got in his head, didn't he? Like,
Yeah, he
so
did.
in the first time he got in his head, he rattled
Yeah,
him.
he got emotional. Yeah.
He completely ruined him in the press conference before the fight, like, and then took it away from him in the fight. So that's why I've seen that kind of twice with Charlo now. So I think, you know, if he ever gets like a top level fight, but I don't even know like who are the top guys at 160 to 68 now. Like I don't know, like, so I don't know. You know, he could kind of be the best of a bad bunch, but like I think you're right about the power. Like just crisper shots and that. Like, and he's got that big frame, and I think he's going to connect early and take him out. Like.
I think, Matty, that Charlo actually won the first fight against Harrison, but I thought Harrison was actually winning the second fight before he got knocked out. And Harrison, he's a strange, flawed, but very talented fighter, isn't he?
I don't ever know what to think of Tony Harrison, man. Like when he lost to Brian Peral, I was shocked. Yet I still had the wherewithal to bet on him to beat Sergio Garcia. He's possibly the most skillful fighter in the 154-pound division, while not being within the top 5 fighters of the division.
And on my question about who it's best to have win in the fight, Charlo or Castano, obviously Charlo's the star. He's made to be the star pound for pound and all that. But if Castano were to get the belts, you just feel like he's that more active guy who's willing to go in still as a B-side, maybe move up weights as a B-side and make big fights happen. Whereas Charlo, the whole career has been a little bit stunted. They've had the big fights, but every time they've been on the breakthrough of that big next level step, it's never quite happened. So Castano might be the better victor for actually making the bigger fights happen in the future, Matty.
Well, and I especially think if you think that Errol Spence is going to beat Terrence Crawford and then move up, well, they have the same trainer. That ain't fucking happening.
No.
Right? No. So I think if you're looking at it from that lens, you definitely have to say you'd prefer that Castano wins, just so there's some interest at 154 pounds for some of these names to kind of move in for a fight, because I mean that's one block there. But honestly, like I've said, I think Crawford beats Spence, and I think Crawford against Charlo is a far more interesting fight than Charlo versus Castano. I think, or Crawford against Castano. I think Terrence Crawford has far too many tools for the style of Castano, but I think that Crawford versus Charlo, that's a real thinking man's fight. It might not be exciting, but it's one for the purists. Should Terrence get through Spence and they have that opportunity.
I think actually, now that you mention that fight, I think it will be, but I just think Crawford would be too versatile and aggressive and, I don't know, just all around for Charlo. I think he'd just out-hustle him.
Well, it's also I always have those size questions, though, right, Steve?
Yeah,
just kind of like Canelo going up against Bivol. Like I think that Crawford could move up and beat Castano, but I don't know that he can move up and beat Charlo. Charlo's a big boy. You know, he's about the same size as his brother, and his brother's holding middleweight just fine.
Yeah, good point. Right, before we go on to the Belly of the Week for episode 473, Rob's hanging around, so is Matty. Andy, anything from next week that I might have missed? Anything on the continent that's taken your interest? We've gone through Italy, Udofia, Yoka, Floyd on the helipad, Charlo, Kovalev, Ramirez. It feels like we might have covered it all. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think that will be the only thing of interest next week. I actually thought it was quite quiet, but then you've actually just rhymed off about 3 or 4
little
cards
bits of interest floating about, isn't there?
Yeah, there's maybe I think there's a poverty card for Germany next week. Some of the supposed top talents, but they're not fighting in anything decent.
I just want to say, looking ahead, Steve, and this is for the listeners. If you really want to piss off Andy, send a bunch of positive tweets to the Boxing Asylum in regards to making our prediction for next week be the Tevin Farmer Mickey Bay fight live from Ghana.
Eh?
What?
Live from the metaverse.
Fucking hell. Is that true? Do you make that up?
I'm going through boxing.
No, it's
like augmented reality, this.
It's happening, dude. It is happening.
If there's
Mickey
no
Bay,
boxing,
Tevin Farmer in Ghana.
Gervonta Davis must be happy that he was a success because every other fucking TMT fighter was banished to walk the fucking earth like David Carradine and Kung Fu. Like, what the?
Is it in the prison canteen, Matty?
I don't no, it's in the. I do not believe it's in the prison canteen.
This isn't listed anywhere. So
go to ESPN boxing schedule.
It's the 21st of May.
Yeah.
Is Liam McAllister on the undercard? Isn't he Ghanaian there, Andy?
Hi. Matt, you say this is next week's prediction.
Yeah, I'm thinking about
for the
putting it in
following
there.
week.
Yeah, I'm thinking about putting it in there just to piss you off.
Fuck you, man.
Oh dear. Tevin Farmer versus Mickey Bay in Ghana.
When did Mickey Bay last fight, actually, just out of curiosity? In fact, Tevin Farmer, actually, how's he kind of... He'll probably end up going to Damascus with the eyes, man.
I don't know. Chase Athletics is
2019, Mickey Bay was his last fight. And Tevin Farmer last fought in 2020 against Jojo Diaz.
Winner against Prince Patel. Come on, man, for all the marbles.
Fuck me, man.
Yeah, nobody never... It's just, with Tevin Farmer, you never know what direction he's looking next.
Yeah.
What's his vision for the future? Where do you think he's going to end up?
Look at this one. Promoters of the event, Tevin Farmer Promotions, Mickey Bay and Bay Bros Promotions, and S3 Promotions. I mean, yeah, it's a
lot of promotions.
Yeah, it's a happening.
Well, they're doing a good job. We're after finding out about it, and it's all the way over in Ghana.
Yeah.
So fucking pick up the promotion team.
Big A says it's really in the garden. Tevin just read it wrong.
Okay, what?
This fucking reads to Bitcoin Rodney, doesn't it, somewhere along the line?
They're going to lose so much money on that fight. They're going to have to catch a ride with a cargo plane from a charity to get back home.
The thing is, Matty, there's a good chance Tim Boxer might have a link for you for this, and they might be free, hopefully.
Oh, Christ. Oh, Christ.
It might be free.
Yeah, it might be free, mate. So I'll tell you this much, right? If you so dare want to give us this fucking trash to pick, right, I'm going to make sure that Tim gives you that link so you can watch that shit, and I want you to give us a detailed breakdown of that fucking fight that week, right? That's about as positive I'm going to give you, man. Fucking hell.
Andy, we've now decided that Ghanaian fighters are no longer teak tough. They're now shite, aren't they? So they're having to get Farmer against Bay over there.
Well, Father Dave is on the undercard. He's over in Africa doing some missionary work. He's popping up on the undercard. You know what I mean?
Lee McAllister. Lee McAllister, the fucking whitest African I've ever seen, by the way. I mean, he's not even white. He's fucking pale blue, right? Someday if they get white, that fucker.
Look at that comment from Adam Hughes.
If Farmer wins, he will have tears rolling down his back. I don't know who Adam Hughes is, but he's funny, man. He comes off with some rare shit in there. Oh, well done. Seems as good a place as
entertaining fighter, actually, Tevin Farmer. Tevin Farmer was entertaining.
When was that, though, mate? That was like 3-4 years ago.
It's John O'Carroll that time. It was entertaining.
Exactly, aye. You can't even punch, man. Remember that?
No, if you could punch, he might be half decent.
Who was it? There was him and Eddie getting interviewed. I forget what fight it was, and they were demanding fucking stupid money to fight him. Like there's like $4 million to fight somebody. I forget who it is.
Davis fight, wasn't it?
Davis, I think,
was it VG?
I think so.
I think he got shot in the hand or something. He's bad hands, done he? He got shot in the hand. And
he got shot in both the hands. Yeah. which is detrimental to a boxer, you would think.
It's hard after that, all right.
Oh dear. Right. Okay. Before we go on to Belly of the Week, Matty, do you want to give us an update on the prediction league? Who's the movers and shakers? Any action? Who's going to win in the Opera Soup?
I was going to say, Father Dave thought he was Padre Pio, didn't he? Hammer.
Literally nothing happened, Steve. We had one fight that was scrapped, and we all went with Canelo. So then we went by decision. So then we split it up by, do you think you'll win UD or split? And that doesn't matter because Canelo lost. Nobody got any points. Rob remains in the lead.
Well done.
Woo.
Apart from in Joe Kennedy's prediction league, Rob, where you are 14th.
Fake league.
Where am I sitting, just out of curiosity?
I'm not sure. I haven't looked at it really. I don't know where he is, to be honest. But Rob, no, Joe replaced the Hergovich fight with the Montana Love against somebody fight, I think. So there's a bit of a split going on between the two leagues now.
He asked me for my prediction, and I said it's going to be a Teddy Prendergast. Fuck's sake, Teddy Pendergrass, another Love TKO. We didn't get the TKO. He just walked his dog out with OT Genesis. Don't know what he's like as a choice of rapper, but Shakur Stevenson, of course, walked out with the baby. So if they had the baby was probably in the middle of the scuffle with the ma afterwards, like when he throwing hands all over the shop. But yeah, no, fucking Montana Love let me down in the fake league. It's like the fucking Europa League. I don't care about that. It's the fucking main one I'm interested in.
Right, let's get into Belly of the Week for episode 473. There's courtesy of Danny Young. There's Dangerous Dave out in action again. Last night he was. He's enjoying himself. Reading the scorecards, Andy, like no one else can.
Yep. The time has come, Steve.
How do you know he even got the scorecards right? You couldn't really believe anything this fella says. Was it really 115, 113 to Bivol?
Well, he just got back for fucking Canada, mate, so I don't know. Possibly. Maybe he just got handed them and he just walked on the ring. announced the decision because I just got back from Mongolia 2 minutes ago as well.
Someone better double check them scores.
He went to Canada between rounds, didn't he? Came back there.
You're a cynical man, Stephen.
Oh dear. Anyway, moving on. Here's the Quote. Clarissa the Quote Shields. Love a bit of Quote action for this Bellew of the Week. She says, lol, some of these boxing networks be blatantly hating on me. Try and not acknowledge me when I've literally broken records in the amateurs plus the pros. And let's not forget I'm a better boxer than all of the female boxers. No pun intended.
No pun in there either.
What pun?
No pun given.
Yeah. Big Punisher, Clarissa Shields.
Not really sure what the quote's on about there, but anyway, we shall indulge in nonetheless. Boxing Connected has been given his opinions on boxing action. He said the real GOAT, Tyson Fury, would have smoked Muhammad Ale, Holyfield, Mike Tyson, Lennox Lewis, etc. You name it, you spell it, it would have smoked them all.
Somebody's smoking them all.
That's not as it low, is it?
Orlando Roas says, "Were you spelling bee champion?"
Fury, that guy.
Oh dear, Boxing Connected. Talking to Isaac, he's been in action this week. He's been shouting out. Wooj nominated him for Bellew of the Week. He said, Frank Warren TV, I still waiting on this rematch WBC Morrow. Fans want it. I defo want it. Do yous want it?
We definitely want it. We 100% want it.
He got absolutely handled. I mean, what's going on here? I mean, seriously, he got totally fucking ruined badly. It was no Victor Loughlin was kind of slowing the stoppage, admiring the shots.
He got battered that badly. He was spelling properly for a week.
You ever wonder if guys like this, if they use speech to text and they look at it and they say, that's not right, and they go and erase it and to change it to all this bullshit?
Oh, good old Isaac. Nomination for him. Tommy Fury nomination. We don't care about the money. I slept on in a boiler room and never took a pound off Tyson's. Says Tommy Fury. Oh, look at that little photoshopped image there as well, Andy. He's looking well on the photo, isn't he, there in the sun?
Aye, I suppose. I mean, his eyebrows are looking braw, mind you, I must admit.
They trusted him around the pipes, eh?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, well.
Best eyebrows in boxing since Victor Ortiz, then.
Full Tour Sports Stories, Tony Bellew explains what happened when he bumped into Jake Paul. Just leave him alone, Rob. He just wants to come back and fight his hated enemy, Jake Paul, in a money-spinning showdown.
He tweeted as
Leave him alone, man.
He tweeted as well that apparently Jake Paul walked up to him last week.
Jake Paul was calling him Tony Bellew and all, wasn't he? He's calling him Tony Bellew like Tyan Booth. He's like, who? Tony Bellew? Who is this guy? Oh, what? He was in a movie? Don't forget about who I am, mates. Okay? You fight fighters who are not fighters, mate. I fight real champions like Makabu for vacant titles, mate. At Goodison. I've beaten Nathan Cleverly, mate. Okay? So just want to be left alone with my wife and kids, mate. Okay?
I've gone 12 rounds with Isaac Chilemba twice. You haven't.
Well, let's see Jake Paul beat Isaac Chilemba.
Exactly.
Twice.
Let's see who beats Isaac Chilemba. Here's the quote. Lol, you're funny. Did you all like my punches or slippers better today? I really enjoyed the open workout. Rob there, and not you, Rob, but this other Rob was pointing to the fact Bean was liking the slippers, no doubt.
I was waiting for someone to come up and ask her, could you tell me how to get to Sesame Street?
For some real reason, it looks like Shane Mosley's transforming into Ronald McDonald.
How do you look like fucking Snuffleupagus and Big Bird at the same time? There you go.
Big Bird out of costume, says Albert Ross. Brutal on the quote. We love a bit of the quote here. Brutamente honesto. A couple of videos as well. First of all, Spencer Oliver here and Matty struggling to work out light heavyweight.
Difference to go from welterweight to where he's fighting. Welterweight is at 147. So what will he be at now? And he's up at light heavyweight, which is what is that? 168, I think. Is something. Yeah,
Spencer just say anything he wouldn't know.
Former pro Spencer.
Fucking hell.
Jim White. Jim Shite, as we call him.
Good old Jim Shite. Arthur Dane has nominated Boxing News for introducing our latest cover story, #Taylor Serrano, the story of a fight that made an immediate mark in history. Women's boxing on the front of Boxing News. Matty, nominated for Bellew of the Week. He obviously doesn't listen to Chicks with Dig, Brian King.
They're nominated because they called it Fight of the Century.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the atmosphere and all that is incredible, but that's a little bit of a leap. It was an incredible event, but yeah, you can't get into this kind of hyperbole. Like, I love the fight. I love the atmosphere. But even as, the biggest fan of women's boxing on this podcast, Steve, I'm more inclined to watch Juan Manuel Marquez against Juan Diaz. That'd be on repeat more often for me.
Bunch of haters out there hating on the fight of the century. Me and Amanda Serrano, seven-figure Taylor getting that guap, yo. Jake Paul, holler at your girl.
Her voice was so up and down all over the place. I had to send a voice clip to Rob over the weekend. It was particularly.
I thought it was me
bad.
for the first fucking 20 seconds. I was like, I don't remember saying that. That's hilarious. Fucking see, she was in the dressing room with Canelo as well. And she with her fucking shoulder pad jacket. God help, I'm never going to be able to walk Ireland again. Like, am I? She was in there. I was in the dressing room just giving Canelo a bit of a hype up before the fight. I was saying to him, come on, Canelo, don't let him come for just get the payday. Yeah. We were laughing, me and Eddie. Oh, Brian Peters trying to get in. They weren't letting him in. The mariachi band had him outside.
She was on the telly last night, actually. She sounded exactly like that.
Well, she might have been hanging around. She might have been hanging around there, Rob, with Frank Smith, the little fat guy. He's getting in with Bivol. Best mates.
Eddie, man. Eddie this week. I haven't listened to it. I'm back at Frank. Well, I've got Canelo and I've got AJ. You got him up Schitt's Creek, the two of them. But at the moment, because that's where they are, especially if they're taking those rematches. So he said, he had to make a decision. Get a life to me, first of all, for remembering this. But he said he had to make a decision during the weekend. Appoint Frank Smith, because they're both under the zone. Appoint Frank Smith as Bivol's promoter. And, Bivol accepted that this is business. And, of course, me and Canelo are very close friends. He said that with a straight face. Him and Canelo are very close friends. Will you piss off, man? Will you? Very close friends. Your promoter.
He's a fucking crawler, man. That's what he is. He's a crawler.
The fella who labelled him, get a life, me. Fucking get a life remembering this. Labelled him, wasn't it Radio Raheem that he said to him, he will be forever known as a drug chief. Yeah. His friend. Drug chief friend.
What's he got now? He's actually got a fucking picture of him and Eddie cuddling on his mantelpiece in his house. Like a lovesick puppy.
Pathetic. Even at Ed.
Even Ed. But I mean,
Raging, man, he's raging.
of course he's raging. And I want to tell you another thing why he's raging, just for nominating Eddie there, Rob, is Bivol, right? He's had some shit off the Klitschko's going into this fight because he's Russian and all the situation there in Ukraine and that. Totally different situation. Bivol's walking in there. He doesn't care what he's going to get. And he says right after the fucking fight, walking past Eddie, he says, Eddie, sorry I broke your plans. So Bivol getting it right off the head as well.
Get it around you.
Even Ed.
Talking of broken plans, you have to laugh at Coos in his attempt to disassociate IFL TV from MTK by peeling their logo off his mic. That will do the trick, mate.
That's poverty, eh? That's poverty. I mean, the amount of money, they must have something to replace that.
Maybe he's not able to spring for a new microphone right now, Steve. Did you ever think of that?
Oh, sorry, aye. He's a bit dry than these days, mate.
Oh, might have spent it all on the clothing, buddy, Andy, sorry. like the cat.
Fucking hell.
He looks well, doesn't he, man? Look at the chain.
He spray painted their fucking jeans on, man. Let's stay them. What a muppet.
Tie-dye jeans from the Gad.
Fucking hell. Tie-dye. What a muppet, eh? What's with the chain? Is that his choke chain?
Look at the chain belt. This red. Like, what's that? Like,
choke chain.
When you can't decide if you want to go out on a night on the town or sell your ass behind the gay bar. That's what he uses to kind of catch his victims. The chain.
Here, Andy, here's one for you.
It's a talking point. It's a talking point.
Do you remember this fella? He's turned up again, look.
Oh, no.
Joe Kennedy, for once Fundora, not the biggest freak in a photo. It's your mate again.
Jesus Christ.
Look at well him, isn't he?
Look, I can't get a Fundora, but how the hell is he a legit contender in boxing? Look at him. Look at him.
Fundora looks like a computer hacker or something, doesn't he?
Who's that nerd? Jesus Christ, look at him. Look at the guys. Look at the guys he's got. The jeans.
Look at how long his legs are.
Look at the legs.
Like step ladders.
Looks like they're doing casting for a new edition of the Munsters.
Looks like they're doing casting for something, all right.
That guy's really a fighter?
Talking about monstrosities, man. Look at the fucking belts in the background there. Fuck's sake.
Oh, I know,
They're pish.
That's all those stupid WBC belts, isn't it?
Look at the size of him.
Looks like they're pitching a hybrid show of fucking Teen Wolf meets Rush Hour or something. On it, like a weird buddy cop movie.
Didn't they do a belt for last night's show, Andy? WBC. Surprised they didn't. You know when those daft belts?
Oh, it was Panama's chance to get some money. Money.
I think they're actually planning on maybe just reversing races in Game of Death, and Fundora is going to be playing the role of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Just brutalmente
gigante.
By the way, I seen fucking Mendoza standing next to Bivol last night after they got a decision. Face, quite straight. The imagine if that was Canelo, man, he'd be a fucking cheeser like Chris Boyd, possibly, man.
All that's missing, Andy, was Don King running over Canelo with a pair of Russian flags. Suppose that he didn't do that.
Well, Frank Smith did it for him, did they know? Well,
those little Russian flags on sticks.
They didn't do the Russian anthem before the fight. I noticed
Frank Smith had a little Russian hat on him and all, didn't he? Afterwards, over with Bivol.
Bivol should have gone full heel and pulled the flag out. Keyshawn Davis says, can you all say I'm the best prospect, or you'll need me to keep showing you all I am? Rick Glazer jumped in. Keyshawn, you can and will be a great fighter. All the earmarks are there. But you need a new hairstylist. Your hair is a mess. # boxing.
So are your accounts, pal.
So his associates. They're fucking made a mess in fucking somebody's hair, I'll tell you that.
I would like to see what would happen if Keyshawn and Isaac Lowe work together on a book.
That could be interesting, Matty. Gavin Stevens might nominate it for a Belly of the Week, but there you go.
It's going to be called Y'all Must Have Forget.
Oh dear. Here's the next one coming up.
Oh no!
Right now.
This is the
No,
right.
no,
Okay.
I clarified this with Iron Fisted Champion. I said, look, I need to put this through the filter. We're going to have to have a filter here. And this is Weber, Ian Weber, 78. He said, Laura Woods, seems like these are all the rage at the moment, so I've done one of you. She did tweet him back and said, really exceptional, mate. And a little clap in hands. It does look like it, to be fair, Andy.
Right, yeah, well, okay. But I just want a full disclaimer here. Who is this person? Hey, there's no illnesses involved, is there? There's nothing like that. There's nothing terminal going on. Please tell me.
This
before I answer anything
child?
else.
This child?
I thought it looked like. I thought it looked like Shannon Courtney when someone's talking about Ebony Bridges. Look at the green eyes and all. She's like,
oh, that's right. She's got green eyes and then 1 minute and blonde hair the next, isn't she? Snapchat.
Someone says, isn't that Frank Maloney?
Looks like me like Desperate Dan's fucking offspring, man, with that chin. Look at it. Like,
some jawline there, all right, isn't it?
Fuck me, man.
I know who it is. It's Michelle Joyce House.
That's not nice to dead name Kelly like that. How rude.
Smithle was talking about her the day.
I love that she fucking tweeted her back, by the way. That's fucking amazing. Fair play to her.
Oh, good old Laura Woods.
Hanging on the wall.
Hanging on the wall with all the others. Mike Coppinger says that Demetrius Andrade, Zach Parker bout was set for May the 21st, but it's been postponed due to an injury. Nothing to do with flagging ticket sales. It's an injury. Idris Virgo, Rob, says, I'll step in. What do you reckon? Pride Park in front of the thousands of people? Get him in.
Thousands of people.
To have it at the fucking Hacienda in the Love Island. That's about as fucking much hope as he has of getting that fight. He get back on Love Island. Don't want that smoke with Boo Boo, does he? That'd be one from LB, wouldn't it? She'd like that, wouldn't she?
That's a classic Boo Boo defense, though, isn't it? That against Virgo.
But the thing is, he's a free agent after this fight, is he not?
Yeah, that's why he's on free agent British opponents now. He doesn't even have Eddie Hearn British opponents. He just has to go get his own. Like,
so
no, he's going to leave the zone now, isn't he, and get all the big fights? Isn't that the way it works? The zone pays them the money, and then
I doubt that, but Bivol fucked Eddie's plans, and he's stuck with Demetrius Andrade for another couple months. Shit's rough at the Hearn house.
Good evening, Edward. How are we doing?
Look at Canelo. Right in the
no
belly.
more payday. No more payday. Yeah.
By the way, can I just say I was quite happy that Eddie wasn't in camera view yesterday at ringside. Those four lovely young ladies sitting there was far better view than some Botox fucking sex doll.
Well, they weren't watching the fight anyway, were they?
Calm down, Colonel Bob Sheridan.
Never saw a fucking punch thrown at it. Talking to each other the whole night.
Exactly. They were too
waffling.
They're too busy on their IGs or whatever, eh?
Here we are. If Eddie needs his ring cleaned anyway, he's got everything boxing. He said this man got his opportunity because Matchroom delivered it to him. Something the PBC couldn't do for their guys and Top Rank couldn't do for theirs.
He just fucking fought a PBC fighter, didn't he? Fucking fight Plant in the fight beforehand.
In an undisputed fight.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, I don't know if anybody's seen it yesterday, but he iced Tommy on something to do on Twitter yesterday. I forget what was said, but he fucking got, I mean, Tommy got at it yesterday, so didn't do too well, I don't think. But I don't know what to say about this kid at all, man. He's just want Eddie for a retweet, I think, isn't it, at this point?
Oh, yeah. John O'Donovan's nominating. Go on, Matty.
I'll tell you who I feel bad for is all the people who invested in DAZN and all this. Like, in the next coming months, if this trend keeps up, we're going to have to play a game when it comes to all those big investors, and it's going to be autoerotic asphyxiation or suicide.
Hang in there. John Rivers was one that was fucking. The fuck was I going to say? It's gone out of my head. Probably Joan Rivers' one as well. That one.
Don't leave us hanging.
Go on, Rob. You can do it.
No, I can't think of it.
No, it's not there. It's not there. Maybe this will refresh your memory. Arthur Dane, one of the reasons the Americans sanctioned Daniel Kinahan, Lee Wiley. Here he is, expert analysis. Canelo on points, but don't be surprised if he puts Bivol away. Bivol offers very little once you get past his jab. He's also straight backed and vulnerable to overhands. Canelo is A+ at selling something low, only to come up top. Steady body work might lead to a stoppage too. All right then, thanks for that, Lee.
Fuck off, man, will you?
He's covering some bases there though at the same time, eh?
Yeah.
Fuck's sake, man.
Andrew analysis laptop.
He's covering some bases for a fella who's never watched Bivol before, isn't he?
Fucking
He
hell.
doesn't fight like that at all, like, does he?
I'm trying to think, did Canelo even land one meaningful body shot in that entire fight?
Not many. A few shoe shiners. That was about it.
But nothing that was like deemed to be like fucking crunching to back him up or hurt him or get him to think twice about fucking even letting his hands go, just like cover up nothing.
No. Yeah, well, Canelo, 31, might be heading for a midlife crisis, Andy. He might get a tattoo on his leg, perhaps. Like this one of the Gypsy King, or is it Tom Little? I'm not really sure.
Looks like Alan Babbage. Jesus.
What would it be like if Tyson Fury was a character on the Coneheads? That's what I want. You give it to me.
He's even got the thinning hairline and all.
Look at the crown on top of this. Jesus Christ.
Oh,
I mean, fair play and all, like, but you fucking hell, like, can nobody draw boxers? Like, what is it like?
I'll tell you what, that broken heart underneath, it's pretty fucking poetic.
Is that prison ink?
I don't know.
Yeah, let's be careful here. Let's be careful.
Yeah, exactly. That looks well, actually. I think that looks quite nice.
Yes, it's a bit of him. What's the problem with this?
Beautiful shadowing.
Looks good. That looks good. Right. Final one I've got is a video, no less. This one is from a while ago. I remember playing it many moons ago, but it seems to have resurfaced on social media. Floyd, Anthony Joshua, meeting the fans. Poor old Floyd. No one's really too interested in him.
Yeah, where was Odin? Good man. Wait. Help me. There we go. Which one we looking at that one?
Floyd looks like she wants to die, man. This is just like
I like that's condensed into a 2-minute clip or whatever it's had to watch. Imagine he had to sit through that for about an hour and a half, probably, like when it was all unfolded.
He looks so sad that even a mill at Manjaro's wouldn't cheer him up.
Just dying to go to Manjaro's when that was happening, wasn't he? That's what
Albert Ross just said that he feels bad for Floyd.
He went straight from that to go film that fucking advert for the windows. Like, it was a bad day in the Mayweather house that day.
Throwing himself out a window, the poor fella.
Window of the great room. Out of it.
No wonder he's spending all his time in the metaverse now.
Metaverse. Everybody's his friend in the metaverse, man.
He can hug all the skeletons he wants.
Did anybody win one of the supercars he was giving away for free that nobody knew how to enter for the fucking prize raffle?
It was too complicated, Andy. No one could follow the rules.
Nobody could figure it out, Jay. The car's just sitting in the garage again.
Probably waiting to be impounded by the US government for fucking back taxes.
Well, they're doing a lot of impounding these days.
I just think that Floyd needs to reinvent himself, and he might need to go with the Tyson method and try smoking toad venom and starting a marijuana brand.
Has he not reinvented himself though now? Like he's an NFT hawker now, isn't he? Like once great fighter, now fights in exhibitions.
I don't know if an NFT grift and a new hairline a new man makes, Rob.
I think he misunderstood that everybody loved the Ric Flair. Everybody either loved or hated the Ric Flair-esque type persona when he was an active fighter and he was one of the great champions doing his thing. But the stick is old when you're just an old retired dude running around talking about making smart investments, throwing bags of money around the place, you know, in your fucking sliders out in Dubai and all. Yeah, trying to like stay plugged into the youth and all going around with your money. It's just pathetic, man. It's just fucking.
He's at
go retire, like.
He's at that age where he has to decide if he wants to look weird while hitting on like 25-year-olds until one is all into it, or if he just wants to go and nail as many MILFs and 40-year-old women as he possibly can.
No, I think he's got a selection, hasn't he? He has a. I don't think he does, but yeah, well, like, you know, as he should, like, but still, just tone it down, like on the fucking social media, like and all that, like with the fucking crazy NFTs and the
Pearl collection.
Lamborghinis. And...
Is he still doing that?
Oh yeah,
Aye, he's
that's
still
at
got
Vegas.
that. Oh, aye.
Yeah.
He's still got that. You see him as on IG.
That's a bit out
Yeah.
of town in Vegas, though. I heard.
I bet it is. You can just imagine the fucking debauchery that goes on that place.
No buses after midnight, Rob.
Yeah, I think it's a bit difficult to get to. I think.
Aye. Season tickets only.
Right, that's all the ones that I've got. Andy, any from you, please?
Not much, mate. To be honest with you, I did see something during the week there about Gino Maidana. I don't know if he's at an event in America or whatever. Anyway, he was getting filmed. I remember his team actually showed his Mayweather's tooth that he actually picked up when he got knocked out. When he got knocked out, he's actually got an appendant round about his neck, so he was just showing it off. Really like to look at that one. Obviously, the fucking Bivol after the fight, trolling Eddie, basically apologising. And then when Eddie walked up to him saying congratulations, he says you could just see in his eyes that he didn't really mean it. The fucking camera cuts to Eddie, who's sitting there like he's just been fucking had his arse felt off somebody, you know. So fucking quality that one. Probably one for Canelo, basically, for just getting a bit buying into his own hype. I suppose. You know, thought he could step up one. You know, fair play for stepping up again. Actually, you know, top 2 division, but again, it's just maybe the ego just got a wee bit too much, and it's been humbled basically. You know, so one for Canelo.
Joke's on us. He's still owed 9 figures.
Well, I suppose.
Good luck cashing that in. Any from you, Matty, nominations?
Man, I think you'd be remiss if you didn't nominate all of the judges in the Canelo Bivol fight who had identical scorecards, all turning in the first 4 rounds for Canelo. It defies just anything that is on the up and up. I think you have to put him in for pure fuckery.
Well said, Matty. I can endorse that. Rob, any nominations from you? Episode 473.
Yeah, who was the guy? Was it one of the boxing writers? I'm sure it's the guy from the ring. He used to tell me the name, but after
Tom Gray.
Yeah, was it him where he said that Canelo took defeat graciously, and you know that's how you take defeat. You don't say you had a heavy costume or your arms were weak or whatever, like referring to Wilder and all. Like, and I just thought, like, what the fuck are you bringing Wilder into this for? There's enough of that shit, like on Twitter, just bringing up. Do you know what I mean? Both sides of that shitty fucking debate, like, and he's stirring it up there, like, just let a fucking fighter have his moment, like. And anyway, Canelo then turned his fucking back around about half an hour later and said, "No, well, I thought I won the fight anyway." So
he thought it was close till he won the fight. Aye.
Yeah. So he walked it back anyway. Like, so I just thought that was a stupid statement to make. Like, why are you bringing Wilder into a fall? Like, you know, we've all rightly lambasted Wilder over the years for his mad comments. Started off with the brilliant shit and the conspiracy and the big mad video and all, like, but. He took his licks the last time. What are you bringing that up for? Like, it's just fucking nothing to do with Canelo, is it? Like,
well said, Rob. Let's go over them. All the ones that the boys have nominated there. Plus, we had Diamante, just for being Diamante. You know, we love a bit of him. Grote as well for her no pun intended, no pun given. Boxing Connected for his spelling. Isaac Warrior Low for the very same. Tommy Fury was thrown in as well. Bellew is running after these paydays against Jake Paul. We've got the Grote again. We've got the fight of the century. We've got Frank Smith, Eddie, and Associated. No more MTK stickers, unfortunately, but the guard's still hanging around. We had him, Fundora, and his mate getting nominated there. Rick Glazer for Keyshawn. Drawings of Laura Woods. We had Demetrius Andrade, Idris Virgo. Everything Boxing for ring licking. Lee Wiley for his analysis. Tyson Fury, allegedly, on a tattoo. Floyd being rejected, and Spencer Oliver getting confused over weights. Quite the selection here, Rob. Who are you going for?
that was fucking brilliant, but that was ages ago. Like, as I remember that at the time, but it's good that they've highlighted it and repackaged it. Fucking brilliant. But it has to be Eddie for me, man, saying that Canelo is his friend, close personal friend. That's why he had to take his side. And no, Frank Smith, you go fucking work with Bivol, man. We're getting this decision. He's going to get the shit kicked out of him in body sparring this week, isn't he? Eddie's going to be raging. He's going to be hammering Frank Smith around. His Russian hat to be flying all over the gym.
Wee fat boy's going to get smashed up.
Oh, little fackies are according to Frank, not us.
Brilliant.
Evening, Ed. So yeah, it has to be Eddie for me for that one. Canelo's me mate. He's not your mate, man. You're not mates with Canelo. Like, just fucking chill the fuck out. AJ's your mate, maybe, But even this new version of it, oh yeah, legs are shaky, Adam. Speaking of, well, we won't even go there with him.
Considering how much money's out there, maybe he means he mated with Canelo, like he had to grab
Isn't there
his
talks
ankles.
now that AJ is going to ditch the zone, even though he's going to stay with Matchroom, he's going to ditch the zone, stay with Sky Sports and Ben Shalom and the great bunch of lads on Sky.
Ethan Ed.
Edward.
Edward John Hill.
So that's your mate. Your mate is AJ. You're not mates with Canelo. Cop on yourself.
Nomination from Rob for Eddie. I'm going for the judges. Matty, you've reminded me. You have brought back the rage I was showing 2.5 hours ago. So it's the judges for me, Matty. Who are you going for?
I guess I'm going to go with the judges as well there too, since I'll go with the public push.
The public push, 2 for the corrupt judges, 1 for Eddie. It's all resting on your shoulders, Andrew.
Well, I really want to put Eddie into this one as well again, mate, because one thing we forgot to mention was Eddie's comments. Apparently, Canelo approached him suggesting that maybe a heavyweight title fight against Alexander Usyk. Fuck me.
Yeah, Canelo said make it at 1 pound over 100, 1 pound under 200, and I'll fight him.
What is he talking about? What is he doing? Fucking
you want to get him killed? His friend.
Usyk made millions in that World Boxing Super Series. He's fighting Joshua. He fought Joshua for fucking millions the fucking first time. Is he going to make mega millions the second time? What can you offer him that he maybe does? I mean, come on. Canelo fighting Usyk at heavyweight at 200 pounds. Fuck me, man. He's fucking annihilated. It's a fucking bigger version than he's ever fucking faced before. So I'm going to put Eddie up. So that's going to be a tie, mate. Sorry.
No, that's fine. No problem at all. We can throw out belts. It is boxing, Andy. We can make special belts for Eddie to ease his pain, and we can make belts for the judges as well. Here, in fact, let's celebrate with a bit of Eddie here, shall we?
So in 10 days' time, touch wood, DAZN have the entire roster of middleweight world champions. So people like Charlo, you've no fights for you. If you want to be a world middleweight champion, you better join DAZN ASAP.
Yeah.
And don't forget the pay-per-view is dead. After I just paid $60.
He's some man, eh? He's some man. What a grifter he is. But he grifts well, grifts hard. People love and want to eat out his ass, man. He's just, I don't know how he does it.
I wonder, these fellas that are online defending Eddie Hearn, I wonder, is he in that strange space of these lads who just watch fellas that they like on YouTube, so they watch all the Coogan videos and think he's real, I like a bit of that, like Gary Vaynerchuk or some of these fucking guys who are just selling you fucking dreams, these guys. Get up out of your chair. I like a cut of his gym. You know what I mean? I think those are the Eddie Hearn fans. That's where they come. They're definitely not boxing fans. Like this guy, this fast car talk. So I'll have a bit of that.
Ty Lopez.
I'm going to go and put the kettle and put Eddie on my telly and watch a 2-hour special.
Oh, that's class. Man. Brilliant. Yeah, well done, Eddie. Well done, Eddie and the judges. Eddie's won enough. We'll give it to the judges and Eddie. Yeah. Joint Value of the Week nomination and the award, in fact, episode 473. Congratulations to you boys. Let's give a shout out to a few special people as well. Gerard, as Matthew would say, and the Boxing Inquirer, who both threw in super chats earlier on this evening. Thank you very much to you two. Also, shout out to Rich Aspinall, who joined us over at patreon.com/Boxing Asylum during the week. And for Daniel Adams, who loves the Patreon so much, he increased his pledge. So thank you very much to both of you. Matty will be in the hot seat next week for episode 474. I'm looking forward to Charlo Castano. Leave your thoughts, comments, predictions in the YouTube video below if you wish. Thanks to everybody who's been on tonight. Rapping Rob Kelly has joined us, Matty and Andy. I've been Steve Wellings. We'll see you all again, same time, same place next week. And bye.
Former Beta make.
We'll never forget.
I think that's good happening.
Go to Adam move!
We want to be honest, yeah?
Crying like a little bitch.
I've never met a fucking swank that can fight me.
I fell asleep.
You're a fucking bum, you're a fucking asshole.
Rumpo fucking Steltskin.
But allegedly, Oscar Rivas has failed a test.
7-year aim.
I will fucking smash fucking you.
I hope you fucking die.
Be safe.
I love Boxing Asylum. It's as simple as that.